I am writer-director Christopher McQuarrie.
I am Tom Cruise, writer-director's friend, co-worker.
Why, thank you. I'm honored, sir. Likewise.
This is number 9 for us.
The 9th film that we've collaborated on in some capacity.
Yes,
or other.
and 3rd time on Mission Impossible.
Yes.
Came on and saved my bacon in Ghost Protocol. We're all very grateful.
And this is Mission Impossible Fallout.
And this is Mission Impossible Fallout.
The first scene that we really discussed in this movie was this scene.
Yes.
And strangely enough, it was very much like the scene that you're seeing here, with one small exception. Alec Baldwin was originally going to be the minister. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that's right.
And Alec Baldwin was unavailable. He couldn't come to New Zealand. And Sean Harris was available. And now it is unimaginable to me that it could be
that it could have been anyone else. And also, we were talking about at some point maybe having Benji and Luther there also.
Yes, that's right. And that was it was originally going to be much more long lensy, esoteric, hard to see the background, white. It was going to be less about the environment, a much more dreamy effect. And the more we refined the situation, the more it really became clear that it had to be.
And I can't imagine not doing it without Sean.
And what it came from was this, of course, is that the very first conversation that you and I had at the very beginning of all of this was I asked Tom, what do you want to do? And Tom said, I want to resolve the story of Ethan and Julia. People are still asking me about this story wherever I go, whenever I'm promoting movies around the world. And I want to give them some closure. And I said, okay, well, in order to do that, we have to reintroduce that character. And we've got to, let's not do it as something that's just going to get cut out on a DVD. And that dictated the entire emotional arc of the story.
It really allowed that emotional arc that we were always talking about, which was how do we get, without compromising what mission is, build in more emotion. You know, how do we take them and pull back who Ethan is, where he's at, but without compromising what Mission Impossible is, the team, the action, the suspense. And also, I love that you chose this, The Odyssey, as the book at the beginning, because we also talked about this being an epic.
Yes.
That we felt that the franchise had earned it, that it's where it needed to go. And also visually, you're talking about, this is your second mission that you directed, and you approached it right from the beginning. You said, I'm going to approach it as another director to honor the franchise, but also evaluating and looking at your lens choices, looking at how the locations that you chose throughout the picture, I thought were absolutely perfect. When you talk about length and design of even the rooms, look at the width of these rooms, the length of them, and the lenses that you chose to shoot this. Even the size of the wall at the beginning. It's just right from the beginning. I like, you and I are very much in the same way. It's like in the first minutes of a movie, you're telling your character story and you're educating them to the style and tone of the movie that we're making.
Yes.
So immediately it's like we're just, they've trusted us to come in and we're saying, okay, we're going to slowly take you through this. Here's the movie.
And we're also taking you down a very dark tunnel.
Yes, exactly.
And you and I were always laughing as we were watching this, thinking to ourselves, if this works, they're going to be in that hospital room going, Mommy?
What is happening? With the kids going,
yes.
Is this Mission Impossible?
Yes.
The last one was really funny.
And there's fans of the franchise going, oh, this is where they blow it.
This is it.
This is the one where they totally blow it.
Oh, those poor guys.
Oh, God. They got it. They took themselves a little too seriously. They forgot what mission was. They blew it. And really what it is we want to take you down a road of Ethan's worst fears and his deepest regrets, that the first 15 minutes of the movie which we dreamed of being 5 minutes, but we just kept putting other ideas in, and it kept growing and growing.
Yes.
Well, believe me, we want to be as
how long
abrupt as
before
we
the
can.
credits go?
Originally, it was 20 minutes before the, and so we were looking for other movies. The Departed was slightly longer than ours, and we felt justified.
That's good. Yes. Die Hard.
Die Hard. Yeah, it's fine. They all did it. And this location, this scene, to your credit, this scene, we shot it. We went to this location multiple times because of technical issues, and we were able to cut this scene together. You remember because of the ankle break we'll get to, and you were able to watch the scene and you said, "I'm not feeling the team. This banter wasn't at the beginning of the scene. We played it all for suspense and all for speed. We were just trying to get into the story as quickly as we could,
and we violated our rule,
which was you cannot assume that the viewer has seen another Mission Impossible." And we were assuming it. We were taking the team for granted. And you watched it. You came into the editing room and watched it. The biggest gift a filmmaker can have, a filmmaker's greatest skill, is having some level of objectivity.
Yes.
When you're watching the scene, say, well, how is an audience feeling it? Not what do I want them to feel?
Yes.
But what are they feeling? What am I feeling when I watch it? If it wasn't my movie, and you watched it and you said, he's not connected to the team at all. And as soon as you said it, then everybody we showed it to was, without being able to articulate it, was feeling the same thing.
And we just weren't in it. We were able to go back. Look at these guys.
Yes.
I mean, great actors.
And you remember one of the last cuts we made to the movie, we moved that moment.
Yes.
To after the guy pointing the gun at you.
It was awesome what you did, showing the money, doing it. So now we know.
Well, and Ethan felt oblivious.
Yes.
If it came earlier, the audience was ahead of Ethan because he's nodding like it's okay when the audience knows, no, it's not.
Yes.
And it just by shifting that, Ethan says, it's okay. And then a second later, we realize, oh, no, it's not.
No, it's not okay.
And now we're going, look out, Ethan. Yes.
It's how do you, we're always talking about how do we invest the audience in this story? How do we get them to feel, it's a structural, I think, really quite extraordinary what you did, McHugh, because it's, how do you get the audience to feel what Ethan's going through?
Yes. Subjective as opposed to objective storytelling. And it was something I learned from you, actually, going all the way back to Valkyrie. Valkyrie was almost a documentary style movie that was telling the whole story from orbit. And when you came on to Valkyrie, you were one of the first big lessons I ever learned in that respect. In Valkyrie, the bomb went off, you drove away, and we went back to the compound to see Hitler. And you said, no, don't go back. And I said, but Tom, everybody knows this is not how Hitler died. And you're like, they will not believe Hitler is alive or dead until you show them, even if they know the story. And that was true.
And that kept us in Stauffenberg's point of view.
Tom Cruise University. Excellent film school, by the way. And here you are, by the way, for another symposium of Tom Cruise University.
Here we are. I had a broken foot. You were incredibly patient through all of this.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
The
broken foot I was standing there. I have a box off screen in between takes. Just
you put you resting on your knee. Oh my God. And what's really amazing is keeping that in mind is how uneven all these cobblestones are. And the other thing to remember is the phenomenal lighting by Rob Hardy and Martin Smith, our gaffer Martin Smith, cinematographer Rob Hardy. The choice of this sort of greenish light on one end,
white there.
It's tungsten.
Yes,
he's got a tungsten color that he really likes. That's given this entire movie this feel, it's an almost sepia feel. That looks like it's straight outside of West Side Story. I love the look of it.
And it gives us geography also.
Yes.
As we're going, I know where I am.
Yeah, well, and that first shot where Benji walks in and the camera does that 90-degree move around was all about familiarizing you with the space. This is a big obsession of mine. As you'll watch the scene, you'll see that the camera is constantly setting you up for the three-dimensional space before moving on to the next shot.
So that the audience knows where they are.
Yes.
Which is, you feel the space in it, but we're still feeling the character pressure. And look at the length. The design of the film having those lengths. First of all, great actors. Ving.
So Simon. Phenomenal.
Every time you just go to these guys, it was such a pleasure, always a pleasure working with them. Anytime you put the camera on them, you just
Well, you're talking about two actors who understand the characters they're playing so well, but understand the genre
yes,
so well.
and how to make this movie.
Yes, to make this and Ving landing on his knees like that.
Gosh, take after take, I was
my
like,
God,
never complained.
no. And you remember your line. That's an ADR line. You say, "I didn't know what else to do." We were doing a lot of this on the fly, and we would feel these scenes, and you'd say, "Okay, we want to make clear what your intention was." And we added little lines like that later. And then this, you remember, we were in our effort to make the movie shorter. We didn't let these moments breathe. And that's a very important moment in the movie when Tom says, "Why aren't we dead?" You want the audience to know something more is coming.
You want to feel Lane. You want to feel. It was one of our things we kept reminding ourselves because we knew the film we were making, it was always, let's not cut it too tight. Let's let these scenes breathe. I mean, we really had to, you and I really kept pace on that and going, it doesn't matter all the pressure that we feel in terms of length. What's important is story. People make that mistake all the time thinking, well, I make it shorter, it's going to feel shorter. It's like you make it shorter and it feels longer, and I feel less involved in the story.
Well, you said something very, very wise when the studio was coming at us and wanting the movie to come down in length. You said it doesn't matter how long it is, it matters how long it feels.
Yeah.
And when we cut a shorter version of the movie and tested it, the scores were lower.
Yes.
The scores went down.
It went down.
The emotion of the moment wasn't landing.
Was not in.
This phenomenal Christopher Yonner.
Fantastic.
An amazing actor.
Fantastic.
Such a lovely guy too. And this scene, this was again one of the earlier scenes. And you remember in Rogue Nation, we kept trying to write a scene like this. We were trying to figure out a way to make a mousetrap scene.
Yep.
Where the audience didn't know.
Yeah, do you remember we had it in a we started out in a train. We also had the box car.
That's right.
But look I love Ving in this scene, by the way, and I love him in this movie.
This is, well, as we coming into this movie, the last one was kind of a buddy movie with you and Ethan. You and Benji.
Yeah,
rather.
Benji.
And there was a relationship between you and Ilsa and a relationship between you and Benji. And this is one where I wanted Ving to really have, after 5 of these movies, to have his moment. And that very quickly fell into line with all of these scenes, because no one knows you better than this character.
And this is the scene that we started with. Do you remember?
Yes.
We started with this scene, and we were like, Ving came in, and we were like, no, man, this is
take it,
take it. And he did. He was like, oh, do you remember that morning?
Yeah.
Because look, when you're making a mission movie, it's a lot of stuff is writing every day. These actors are incredible, but also when you have an idea, you want to seize it and not just go, well, this is the way it is. And but if you have something, so we're constantly working on things and you're constantly writing and updating. And really what I love about you as always, as an artist, is you're looking at other artists and you're celebrating them. So you always have that story in mind, but you're looking at this actor and you're going, what's going to really serve that actor? So I love that, because you and I share that same love of a movie where you want all of these actors to score, but also for the audience, to have these characters that you care about and you're interested in at every scene, every angle.
Well, everybody's got to have their entrance, and everybody's got to have.
Yes, we talk about that. It's like, what's that entrance going to be? What's that? If you look at it, it really serves these guys up and ladies up.
You remember here there was more of a moment between you and Ving. There's some great acting. The audience started to suspect when there was too much conflict. They started to suspect something was up.
Ethan and Luther, they're too close.
Yes. And the trick of this scene is that while the audience, as somebody watching the movie for the first time, you're looking at, where is this all headed?
Yeah.
You might be figuring it out. You might know that there's a trap. You might know that something is afoot. And we're hiding from you what our real intention is, which is we want you for the first 30 seconds to think that something terrible really happened, so that you feel what Ethan feels.
Yes.
You feel this is the first time.
This is the structural. You start with the thing at the beginning now here, and the audience is going, oh my gosh, this is going to be really depressing
Well,
film.
that's just it.
These guys really, what
Oh my
were
God.
they? McHugh and Cruz, this is terrible.
They've gone off the rails. And the truth of it is, you never get to see the doomsday scenario play out. In any movie, you never get to see the horrible ending come. So you never get to feel the villain win. And what I love about this is we haven't even met the villains of the movie yet, and we've already met in Casper, the European at the bomb exchange, and in Christopher, you've met two fantastic villains. You've entered a world, and you realize at this point, God, these guys are functionaries. They're not even the big bad guy of our movie. But more importantly, we are still in Ethan's nightmare. We're still right until this second. It's all Ethan losing, and then suddenly Ethan says, "Go." And now the Mission Impossible movie starts, and the time we took and how we were biting our nails through all of it, of how much can the audience take, how long can we do this to get deeper into the character. Wolf Blitzer
was awesome.
So fantastic. He was so great. I never thought we'd get him.
It's awesome.
I never thought we would
was
get Wolf
incredible.
Blitzer.
When he showed up, we were high-fiving. So good. And he loved it. He was great. Worked hard.
He was so delightful. And we gave him a mask. We sent him a gift of a
fantastic
of a wolf
clear
mask.
fox.
Yes, and
he's got his own wolf mask.
Yes.
Here we go. Credits, of course. And I love these credits.
This is the work of the Filmograph LA. These guys are so fantastic.
Oh my gosh, great work, guys!
Really
and
awesome.
You, McHugh, look at this.
Oh, it's great. This burning motif,
Come on.
where we were kind of the discussion we had was one of imagine if the film itself is melting. You know, the movie itself is burning, and which speaks to the very last frame of the film. I hope I remember to mention it when we get there. But this whole idea that the movie itself is being consumed, that the series itself is coming to some horrible ending. And what we realized when we cut it all together was, my God, there's a lot of action in this movie. It's like, that was the first time I really.
It was the first time, because you know what? It's interesting because we're in it.
Yeah,
and we're constantly wondering, is it enough? Are we going as far as we want to go?
Yes. And here is the phenomenal Alec Baldwin.
Phenomenal.
And here's what's amazing is all of this detail, all of this sky and all this, when you're watching this film in the editing room before you've gone in and doing what we call color timing, which is where you actually pull out the fullness of the negative. None of this color was there. This was a very gray scene. You remember?
Yes.
And Asa Scholl and the nice guys at Filmograph, or not Filmograph, Molinaire in London, who are our colorists, they brought out all of this color and detail.
So gorgeous, too.
And one of the things, there's Lauren Balfe, our brilliant composer, one of the things that they were trying to do was bring out more detail in everybody's face. But in doing it, faces started to look muddy. And I said, no, let it be a darker scene. Let it, the light is going to come. So I love the scene. It's got this very unusual dusky feel.
And of course, I love the shot inside the aircraft. There's
something you need to know. I'm going to stop you right there.
And you remember here, there was more plot after this. Just don't make me regret it. And there was a little joke about, and find out where the plutonium, who stole the plutonium
Russia,
in the first place. There was a whole subplot we had introduced in case. And what we realized is this scene's really just about the friendship between these two men.
Yes.
And this was before we were really certain that Alec's character was going to die. We were still debating that. And
all the way to the end. Something that we ultimately knew we had to do, but didn't want to do it because
we loved Alec.
Alec.
And the movie recover.
Can the movie recover?
Yeah.
But look at her.
She's great. And that's Rob Hardy.
I mean,
that hallway is Rob Hardy's nod to Point Blank, John Borman's Point Blank.
It's awesome.
Film he loves. And so I built him that hallway so we could do a point blank shot. Everybody thought I was crazy for building that corridor.
That's fantastic.
Oh, it's
fantastic. It's a great introduction. Look at her. She's got so much power.
She's really phenomenal. This was another amazing. Didn't think we'd get her very much at the last minute. And
I know.
And you needed somebody who, from the very first moment they appeared on screen, had power.
And I love I love the design of the shot. Also, you have the two
It's an over into an over into an over.
It's about, here are the two power brokers.
Yes. Yes.
And their players behind them.
Yes.
And they are negotiating the fate of
that's right.
the world here. Who's going, how, it's their pawns, their players. And right away, you just know the division. One's on one side, one's on the other.
I will give credit where credit is due. You watch this scene. And originally there was a slightly different cutting order. And I was playing it as a sort of moment between you guys. I was playing more in the close coverage of you. And you said, no. It's like, make it about them. Don't worry about us until Scalpel and Hammer. You remember?
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really great note. And it created it made more of these compositions.
I love those compositions.
And it's very rare that you have a star of the movie come in and say, stop cutting to my close-up.
Cut me out.
Push me into the background.
Not his team.
And see yes. That's Angela's natural temperature when she's playing a scene like this. And Angela and I were always working to, I was like, hold on to that. Just let that come out.
Let's get to that. This shot is awesome.
Entirely CG. It was like the first time I've seen an entirely CG shot where I don't want to shoot myself. I know. Great work of Jody Johnson and all the people
guys. Great job. Great job.
I have a real problem with CG shots, especially when the subject of the shot is CG. You can put computer generated backgrounds all you want, as long as what the eye is looking at is real, and that's a very important rule to me. And there was simply no time to get that shot. There was no physical way to do it, to go from one C-17 to another. And Jody assured us that they could do it.
And he did it. It blew me away.
When
you showed me that shot, I was like, what?
Oh, I know. And part of what made the shot work, sorry we're dwelling so much on a 30-second shot, is all the imperfections we poured into it. It's all the heat distortion. The plane is. I said, this is the perfect shot. Now show me the shot I would really get. Because so much
shot you just was like, okay, that's all I have.
Yeah, and when you're shooting air to air, there's the shot you want, there's the shot you end up with, and I just said, give me the shot I end up with.
Now look at Henry Cavill. He's like 1940s like movie star. This guy is just a movie star.
He is a star,
and he is a great actor. Also, when he came on, this guy worked so hard.
Yeah,
dedicated. Every day, up for anything. It was very challenging.
Always positive.
Very challenging film to make. Mission Impossible.
Well, Mission Impossible. Every day you come to work not knowing what movie you're making, and whatever movie we were making yesterday, we're not making today.
And the character kept changing, and he just kept right pace with us and on with us.
Yes, never questioned it.
Never.
So he came to learn. And by the way, the vapor on your helmet. All of that's all CG. That's all incredibly artful.
Yep. That is real oxygen that I'm taking.
That is real
whole
oxygen.
Stuff there. This was obviously challenging sequence. The Halo was,
There's no atmosphere to
I skydived.
It was a lot of work.
It was a lot of work, but I had to really get my skydiving up again and put in the hours. We're doing jumping out at 25,000 feet. We did an hour breathe up, going up to altitude. There's many different things that can go wrong. Hypoxia, many things that could lead to death at this altitude and jumping the way that we're jumping. And also, there's a lot of debate about, I'm doing the jump, everything's live, the whole thing. Now this is this is all one shot.
This all begins.
We talked about this for a year. How are we going to get this shot? First of all, you have to have someone that knows how to skydive. The camera's on top of his helmet. It's Craig. Brilliant.
Craig's not looking through the camera.
Craig is a camera operator, brilliant skydiver, camera operator. He's never done anything like this before because it's narrative storytelling. Still one shot. Now he's backwards. He leaves backwards. I'm coming right at him. Now I have to get to within 3 feet, not 2 feet and 10 inches, not 3 feet and 2 inches. I have to be right at 3 feet.
To be in focus. Now I go past him in that. And we had really a window of a minute every night to try to get that shot. 3 minutes. We had 3 minutes of available
to get
light
that shot.
To get the whole sequence. And the rule with Mission is everything is subjective. which means I need to see Ethan's face when he jumps out of the plane.
Yep.
We could have followed you out of the plane,
Yep.
but we would not have been with Ethan.
And now I do the spin. Now you're in my face. I'm up on my back. He's going up and around. It really is a dance between the two of us. I had to always make sure that the sunset was on my left shoulder. That's actually a guy there.
And Craig is having to keep the frame for all of that storytelling. It's nothing he's ever done before. He hasn't done narrative storytelling. So keeping that frame open.
And we're traveling at 200 miles an hour at times toward the ground. I'm coming in. It's like a sprint. Boom. I have to hit him. When I hit him, I have to hit him. And I don't know where I'm going to hit him on his body. I just have to try to take him out and down.
And not break your neck doing it.
And
you'll notice that Craig
not break his neck, my neck, not entangle the chute, deploy his chute or my chute. Any of those things could have led to serious, serious problems.
And what's amazing here is Craig is keeping him in frame all the time. And what you're looking at here is actually not shot over Paris. It's shot over Abu Dhabi. And Paris has to be
thank you, Abu
tracked in.
Dhabi and the UAE military.
Oh, yes.
For this. We could not have gotten the sequence without them. So many, many thanks to you guys.
Many thanks. And so people are saying, well, if it's all CG in the background, why didn't you just do it CG? You can see the horizon in the background.
Yeah.
And what you end up with, by jumping out of the plane, the relationship between you and the camera is in a way that we could never have duplicated on a stage.
No. No, we could not have gotten what we'd gotten. We actually, the bottle exchange.
Oh God.
The bottle exchange is something that we built the largest wind tunnel in the world to train for this. And actually we were planning on shooting some of the sequence there.
We were talking about it. And when we did it,
it was just, it didn't work.
What was amazing is it looked like you were on wires.
Yes.
It was real, but it wasn't real. And we took one look at it and you went, well, I know how we got to do this.
I remember the tent was like, how are we going to do this?
Oh, everybody standing in the room was like, oh my God, I know what he's going to do. It was straight out of a Mission Impossible movie. It was like, oh no. And except in a Mission Impossible movie, Ethan is the one going, oh no. And in making a Mission Impossible, everybody else in the room is going, oh no.
Yes.
We're actually going to jump out of the plane.
We have to do all of this for real.
For real. While you're falling.
While I'm falling, we're going to have to get and switch the tanks.
Yes. Now, this is the Grand Palais in Paris, France. Just kind enough to let us shoot there.
Beautiful.
DJ
Great.
Harvey.
Great choice.
And,
thank you.
And why, thank you.
Look at this lighting. Awesome.
Now, Peter Wenham, our production designer, it's really amazing. We only had a limited amount of time in the Grand Palais. And so I said to Peter, I want you to build a set that you can build in 2 days and strike in 2 days. And all of this stuff was stuff that we could very quickly roll in and roll out again to give us the maximum amount of shooting time inside the Grand Palais. So what he's built here is fairly simple. He's just using those plastic screens, the mirrors, all of these projection screens. All of this stuff was portable. And the only complicated thing really to bring in was that light ring. And you'll see in the DVD extras, there's shots in this sequence that we cut out of the movie.
Yep.
There was a whole entrance into the Grand Palais.
And a whole swinging how we got there.
It was a big stunt. And it was before we had the rest of the movie together. And it was a fantastic stunt. And when the whole movie was put together, we realized, no, we don't need it.
And I was like, let's cut that out. Yeah. This sequence, we were supposed to shoot it in 3 days. And we shot it over the entire production of the film. The last day of filming, we were shooting, and every time.
This shot was a reshoot. We went back and reshot it because we needed to make the geography clearer in the back.
Yeah, we couldn't.
The geography is just a
with
little
all
bit
the mirrors
confusing.
and everything. It was really.
Yes.
This is like Henry, the training, and you're going to see Liang, who we met on All You Need Is Kill.
Yes.
Who was All You Need Is Kill.
He was Emily's stunt double.
And incredible wushu champion. And we kept thinking about who do we want for this. We
were going to cast an actor. It was going to be a misdirection.
But it was just too much. What we wanted out of this scene was, that this guy basically kicks the living, out of his body.
Out of his body. somebody was going to get hurt.
So,
If somebody was going to get
and Henry,
or more hurt, I should say.
Now, the important thing. This is not only a very entertaining scene, but it's also what the audience doesn't realize. What we're doing here is we're telling the audience, first of all, they're human, and Henry can get beat. Do you know what I mean? Like this is just brutal. You're seeing two different styles. Henry breaks the mask.
Scalpel and hammer.
Walker, he's a scalpel and a hammer. You're seeing it instantly. Okay. But it's also putting into the audience's mind that as much of a hammer that Walker is, he is beatable.
He's vulnerable.
He's vulnerable. And you still have this brutality. And the way that the scene was shot, McQuarrie was fantastic, because if you look at the cuts, we're only cutting when we have to. And that's what we went in saying, how we want to do this scene. It's not death by 1,000 edits. It's playing out character, which meant for the actors, takes have to be perfect, and we have to be in, like, there's no cheating. So
the burden is on you.
So
I'm allowed to just, look, here's a mask machine. And there's no shaky cam, and there's no all of that. The reason why this is not shot in the style of scenes you're seeing that is because the three actors were so exhaustively trained, and that also you guys were really putting a beating on each other.
Yes.
There was nowhere to hide.
No, and you're looking for the accidents. And so there's moments where I really get kicked, and I'm down on the floor and almost in the latrine.
That was improvised. Those guys were so fantastic. All of their dialogue is improvised. I didn't know anything they were saying until a week before we finished the movie, when somebody put the subtitles in.
I love this scene. I laugh every time I see it. It's just, look at Liang. Oh, look at this move when Henry's doing. It's just unbelievable. You're like, whoa.
And this is the great thing that you do not see in a lot of these other action movies. It's the vulnerability that you're both showing in the scene. It's a testament to the both of you that the fun of the scene is watching these two guys that we know are the heroes of the movie getting their asses beat.
Yes. And we're just, with every time, we're not just doing the choreography, how do we...
And that kick to the chest.
Also, Henry just delivers. Now, of course, here's the reloading the bicep that he did on the day. It's just
total
awesome.
Improv.
Just awesome. Just creating that character, these moments that he just created are fantastic. Look at this.
And look at this.
I love how you double cut this. Look
yes,
at
it's the same action repeated twice.
Yeah, same action
so
repeated
you
twice.
could see it all. It was so
you
good.
could see it all, and you also think that kick, that hurt down my face into the latrine. Oh,
and I remember that slip. That slip was not. That's literally just. It's very slippery in there. It's uneven, and you guys just let the space kind of.
Yes.
The space is beating on you as much as.
But also, and it's like, look at what Henry did to sell everything.
Oh,
just into it.
Yes.
And knows into the character. Like this moment you picked up on
that
the
was
last
a
day.
reshoot later.
Boom.
To focus on, I threw focus to the gun, and it allowed me to show him getting shot in the head.
Now we introduced Ilsa earlier in the club, and we cut that and made this her introduction, which is fantastic.
It's
look at that. Look at.
She's so phenomenal.
Look at her.
Amazing Rebecca Ferguson.
I know. Just.
And in
talk
this
about charisma.
Yes.
Also movie star. You look at these guys. They're, all of them in the film, just so talented.
And also in a white room with bright light. There's nowhere to hide. There's what both literally and figuratively. You look at the light on Rebecca's face, and what we're looking at all of you guys. These are such fantastic close-ups, which are all provided by the environment.
Yep.
Hard to look that good in a big bright white light room.
Yeah, look.
This blood was added later, so we could control the amount of blood and where it went, and it wouldn't slow production down. And until we had the blood in the scene wasn't getting any laughs at this point. And suddenly, when people saw the blood in the scene, it had a whole other layer. This got a laugh.
Yes,
where it didn't before.
Just keep your head back until the bleeding stops.
What is it? Hey.
And that's always how I pictured it. And I was always frustrated when we had to show this to test audiences without.
Oh, there's so much.
What are you doing?
It's amazing how well the film played with.
And
People
this
don't
was
understand music, how that affects. With this, we picked up again.
We picked it up again.
Yep.
You were like, you watched it. And you went, I can do. Let me try that line again. So and you gave this. It was like, and now We have to hope they never met. The delivery you're giving is like, and you just everything.
Are we allowed to say?
Yes, exactly. But
You
it gave a
just-
nice energy because now I could hold on you guys in these moments. And the way we had shot it before, it was forcing us to be cuttier. We were cutting around things. Do you remember?
Yep.
To try and give pace to it. And we said, no, let's go back. We have the bathroom. We're going back there anyway.
We're
And
going
let's
back.
shoot this so we don't have to cut it.
And Henry and I, anytime like that, at the end, when you're doing a fight scene, first of all, you never admit how painful it is. Ever. Like when you're doing stunts, you never say it hurts.
Oh, I always hear about it a year later.
No, it's a year later. But on the last day when we're in the bathroom, I looked at Henry and he's like, you know, both of us had that moment of admitting how painful it was every day. This is one of the first things we shot with her.
And
I
this
love
line,
You
could have
came up
come
with
with me.
You came up with on the day.
on the day, but we talked about it.
Yep.
We kept talking about the relationship. And I
Yep.
said, I don't know what it is, but it's in this moment.
Yes.
And I came to work that day and went, I got it. And it was this.
Should have stayed out of the game.
Should have come with me.
And that was their entire relationship from the last movie, done in 2 lines. And remember,
Yep.
there was a whole multi-page scene where
Yes.
we met, and we cut that down to just a look
That's all
you
you
had with
needed.
each other, and then cut the look out. I know all about their relationship. And this,
I love this opening shot. It says, we're entering a different part of our film, a different part of the movie. I love this. Here we go.
the rule for
New Vanessa.
Vanessa Kirby.
Okay, Vanessa. She
Here
originally,
comes.
the entrance, she was singing.
Yes, we had a whole song. and
But
there
she was
a-
fantastic.
There was a number.
She's fantastic.
This we picked up later.
This close up.
And what we realized was the audience was just saying, just get us to the story. And the song was saying, okay, well, what's going on? It actually worked against the tension of the scene. And so I said, well, take out the song and see what's left. And it was all of these shots. And I said, oh, I get it. She can be giving a speech, and watch her hand. You can see with her hand right there. She was actually,
Yes.
that's the one indication that she was actually.
And we needed to
Thing.
feel the threat. But also, we always talked about her and her brother, her character's brother, as being the son and daughter of Max from the first film.
And that was always going to be a secret between us. When
Yeah,
we
that
cut
was
the
always
song
like
out.
stuff that McHugh and I loved. And we cut the song out and he put it right there. I was like, oh man, you're going to do it.
If you're listening.
I loved it.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun.
Some people that know the movies, friends are calling me going, my family was like calling me going, that's Max's daughter. I love it.
Now, if you want to treat yourself, watch the background in this scene, rewind the scene and watch the background from when Tom first walks in until when she finishes her speech. These were shot months apart because we were shooting this scene and we took a 1-day break to go shoot the foot chase.
Yes.
And that was the day you broke your foot.
That's
And we came back to this and shot all of this months later. So we couldn't get all the same extras back. And I was agonizing over it. And the producer, Jake Myers, our producer, he said, if they're looking at the background, if they're looking at
We're
the
in
extras,
trouble.
you have bigger problems. And these extras were actually phenomenal, incredibly
Yeah,
patient.
they were. They were
Yes.
awesome.
And Vanessa in this scene is so good in portraying someone in her behavior as somebody who's excited by chaos
Yes.
and not at all intimidated by this person.
By the danger.
You don't want to be with this one.
I love the brother-sister relationship here.
It's really fun. Frederick Schmidt
Fantastic
playing
guy.
Zola.
I want to go and make a British gangster film. We always talk about that. So it's just like he's just fantastic, this guy. And I love their relationship. It's just a nice color to have there.
Yes, and we shot. Remember, all of this business at the bar was shot with 3 cameras
Yes.
simultaneously, so that it was a
Look at
profile
that
shot.
close up.
And these 2
That's a
close-ups.
close up. Look at her.
And Rob Hardy's use of short framing. Rob Hardy likes to do what's called short framing, where he leaves a lot. You'll see everybody's pushed over to one side. There's always a lot of depth in the frame. Now this shot, Tom Cruise, you remember we were talking on the day, and what we really wanted to do was make clear that Ethan walked in here knowing there was a problem and how to use the problem to his advantage.
Yeah.
It was a very complicated idea, and we were saying, how do we express that? We came up with this line. So remember, I came to work that day,
Yeah.
and I said, here's
kept
what you do.
talking
You
about
say,
it,
I
kept
know what
talking
you're
about it.
thinking. And by saying I know what you're thinking, you're telling us what you're thinking. And you said, oh, dude, okay. And we started playing with lenses, and that's where we put this big, long lens on it and designed that shot, an intimate shot between
Yep.
the two of you, separate from everything else. That was a shot that you, me, and Rob all worked together from lenses to lines to camera.
Figure that out. Now, I love this where the audience is like, you think she is a maiden in distress. Do you know what I mean? The first close up, here she is. You're just thinking like, okay.
Oh, he's holding her.
He's holding her, keeping it. Now you go. Now listen to the crowd. I love what you did with the crowd noise too.
Oh, well,
you're like, whoa, and I love that look.
Well, I went through with the sound department and I said, there was a lot of just wild reactions. And I said, no. This is spectators watching a sport and it's getting crazy.
It was fantastic. First time I heard it, I love New's look. You know, great job, Rebecca. I love New's look at the chest because we're always talking about how it's like, I could do this too. We're in this together.
Like, hey there. Yes. And what was nice is.
And now you got Henry come in and just the hammer.
And it brings everybody together.
Yes, I love it. And now.
Remember, we almost cut this out of the movie.
I know, dude. I'm so glad we got it back. Oh, it was out.
And
then there was a scene here that we just picked. And look, I love that close up again of her. It's just like, this is exciting.
There was all this dialogue in the car. And we realized you don't need any of it.
Yep.
It's just feeling them together.
And she's knowing like, this is dangerous and you're fun and I'm having fun. And now we're going into another world. Like it goes from the club to here to this shot that you created, the whole thing. Remember, it was all set up.
This was the hardest location in Paris to get. And we insisted on it because we needed the space. We wanted to feel her environment.
Her power and her environment.
And that you sort of hit the nail on the head. There's a constant evolution of space. You're constantly every
look at
scene, you're moving into another world. You're going deeper
and she's taking us into a deeper place. It's like, okay, what do you think of this? Now she knows he doesn't know.
Mm-hmm. And she's
got to get him to do what she wants.
That's right.
And so she's very excited by this.
All of this camera work, it's all calculated. This is actually...
You restructured and redesigned the whole room in the morning.
That's right.
And that whole opening shot in there.
I cleared out all the furniture and put all the guns, because the furniture was getting in the way of the guns. But most importantly, this scene, essentially what you're feeling is Ethan has walked into a trap.
Yes.
And it's the trap is not springing. The trap is slowly closing around him. And so if you look at all the framing of all the shots... Ethan is surrounded in every one of these shots, or the ceiling is above him. Each one of these angles is calculated to create a sense of gradually closing entrapment. There's a guy behind him, guy in front of him. And
Lane there. This is where reintroducing Lane.
And then look, she's completely free in the frame.
Yes.
And she's
in total power. She's come in and changed, made herself comfortable.
Yes. And is sort of, yes, she's completely at ease and comfortable. All of this is Henry is standing in front of the door. There are men outside the door. That's the one door Ethan could exit. And so there's no exit for Ethan. And and that moment in the scene where we cut to the wide after you look at the Lane picture is the moment when you realize what I've stepped into.
Oh my gosh.
Now. And it's bigger than I thought.
And his whole nightmare that he had at the beginning of the movie, it's this.
Yes.
He knew this was, he was afraid this was coming.
And then here's the shot we both love. It's this two shot coming up.
I love it.
Right.
I connect a buyer and a seller.
Where is it? There.
Oh my God. Fantastic.
And it marries the two of them in such a great way, puts her in the foreground. All of these shots are about power dynamic as much as they are about, here it is right here. It's Ethan realizing,
how do I know this?
I'm had. But he has to keep going. He can't, we don't dwell on the moment.
But I love how she just leans.
Yes. She just knows.
Just knows. It's like, show him, I'm drawing you in.
Oh, and you remember this. We had 3 plutonium cores at the beginning of the movie.
Yes.
And we had 2 plutonium cores at the end.
And that's why.
And we were driving ourselves crazy going, well, what happens to the other plutonium core? And people kept saying, well, just get rid of the plutonium in the beginning. I'm like, no, you have to have Mecca, the Vatican, and the Temple Mount. And we came up with the idea of the core as a down payment days before we shot this scene. And that took us to, this was when I wrote the breakout scene, you were the one that said, remember, in Mission, it's always about showing what was supposed to happen. And these scenes, what we call a what if, they always happen with narration over them. They always happen with Ethan in a room or Benji in a room saying, here's what we're going to do.
The design of this.
And it tells you that it's safe. It tells you that it's not really happening.
Look at this shot. Look at your whole design. We rehearsed this at a track out in France. And your whole idea was this.
And you'll remember that when we were in Paris and we were being very sensitive to Paris with our presence there, there were paparazzi across the river taking pictures of us shooting. We were there for several days, and within an hour of your showing up, you're seeing images of your own movie online. And this we were supposed to shoot first. And you came up to me and said, we're going to be killing all these cops, and there's people across the street watching. What do we do? And you remember we shot the other part of the scene first. We shot part 2 as part 1. And the next morning we came in and Martin Smith put silk up along the entire side of the bridge. So everything you're looking at is actually added in post. And that's why there's this eerie light. The sunlight is coming in through 300 feet of silk so that no one in Paris would know that this scene was being shot there. Because we didn't want people seeing us.
I didn't want people
killing police.
No, and I didn't want. That's not what the movie's about. And it's the exact opposite. And I didn't want that for France.
Yep.
We didn't want it.
No, we knew.
Really,
we said, well, eventually they'll know it wasn't real. But
yes,
it's going to be a year.
We don't want to wait. And also, with the mission movie, we come in. We want to celebrate the culture, celebrate the town, the city, the people, and that's the purpose why we went to France. And it was wonderful. You saw the thing.
Oh, God, yes. And none of the guns had any blanks, you remember? And the explosion wasn't there. It was all added later. We shot it silently. And we shot that gunfight entirely under the nose of everybody above us. And nobody ever knew it was taking place until they saw the film. And the music in that scene, it's worth going back and listening to. It's Lorne Balfe's, the first piece of music that really resonated. He sent us a whole bunch of music, and that piece is playing over Your Dream at the beginning. Yep. It's playing over that scene, and it became
haunting, and it's so big.
Oh, it's lovely.
I love
a completely original piece of music that came to represent. Lauren,
amazing,
really phenomenal.
And you guys work so well together, McHugh.
I had such a great time working with Lauren.
Brilliantly.
The
surprises that you would send me as as you're editing and going, I'd send me those surprises daily. I just look, oh my gosh, it's just amazing.
This was originally not a hard cut. This was originally a long establishing shot, and there was more dialogue at the top of the scene.
Great shot.
And we were, and you're talking about 6 o'clock in the morning. You had to go there. You only had about an hour to shoot the establishing shots of the scene before you went into close coverage, and we could hide that the sun was coming up. So all of these close shots were, and you could see in the background, the sun is starting to come up on the stones behind Angela.
This is beautiful.
We were racing to get out of there before it was in direct sunlight. This is at the Trocadero where we had the world premiere.
Congratulations. That was such a great night.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Look how beautiful France looks. How beautiful Paris. Oh
it's not hard to make Paris look good, I gotta say.
But thank you, Paris. Thank you, France, for trusting us.
Yes.
For allowing us to shoot at these locations to celebrate you.
For allowing us to fly over the city. For giving us all the street closures.
It's amazing.
It's really incredible. And they were incredibly gracious, very trusting, and we I don't think we damaged too much of the city.
No,
I think
nothing.
We didn't damage anything.
No.
We left some rubber marks on the street.
Yeah, it was some rubber. I was very nervous driving past those churches, 14th century, 15th century. I was like, I am not going to drift into one of these walls. That is not going to happen.
This would be so bad.
This would be so bad. I would feel horrible.
This is a great moment for Henry, and it's one in which Henry is talking about Walker is talking about Ethan, but he's really talking about himself. And it's the only insight into it. And what I love about
it goes back to you and I talked about it, Mission 1.
Yes.
Yes, that inspired this kind of moment.
That's right. And the notion that this movie gets away with things that I never thought we would, or there's no point in the movie where Ethan explicitly explains the plot of the movie to the audience. And that's without that, it's a very dangerous dance, because until Ethan says it, the audience is not reconciled. We notice that an audience, when we're testing the movie, they're always trying to outthink and outsmart Mission Impossible. Yes. And until Ethan says it, it's not true.
It's very interesting. Sometimes we try to allow others to have that.
Yes.
But you and I realize
comes back to
if Ethan doesn't say it.
Well, because Mission's all about fooling you, and it's like until Ethan tells you the truth, this is all lies. Yeah. It's all just a web of lies. This sequence,
this opening shot, come on.
This
I love
was
this introduction of a character. Talk about introduction, the reintroduction of Lane, seeing where he is.
and the difficulty that one has flying over Paris is restricted airspace. It was very generous of them to let us shoot there.
And we landed at the building that.
And you remember these shots were all done months later on
Yes.
stage. We had such limited time in Paris. We had to choose our shots very carefully. And so the first time you saw this sequence cut together, there was nothing of Ethan in the truck, right? So you felt the action sequence, but what was really interesting is you felt no character. And just these few close-ups of Ethan in that truck as the motorcade is coming, it suddenly made it suddenly gave stakes to the scene. What I love is this scene actually obeys a real 360-degree geography. You and Lane are actually looking at each other in real geography.
In that helicopter.
Yes.
That was shot in the helicopter.
Those are real French special forces who come with the helicopter.
Incredible guys.
It's a great box set. You get the helicopter, the French special
and the helicopter, he couldn't bring all the weight on it because the structure, so he had to keep it just a little off.
It was weighted for 4 tons, and I think that helicopter was 14.
Yes.
And no helicopter had ever landed on that helipad. And that's the Ministry of Finance, which is...
Thank you for allowing us to do that, Ministry of Finance.
Thank you.
Look at this. I love all this stuff. Look at him. He's fantastic in this.
Oh, he's extraordinary. Yeah. And then here you go. This shot was on a stage done a year later. This was on location. And you remember, this was really the first day of you and Henry working together.
Yes, and we're finding the characters.
We didn't really know who Walker was.
I didn't know who Walker was, and then he just started doing it. And you'd go,
when he goes, oh, he's like, you're the one who caught him with a smile on his face. And I said, go home tonight.
Yes,
and watch. It happened one night, and Gone with the Wind. I said, you're Clark Gable.
Yes.
And then and we started talking about actors from another era.
Yes.
And you see that smile he's got, and the confidence he had. Henry starts to become, he shows elements that he's a little bit of a rake.
Yes.
All of that was, we
just discovering on this day when we started going through it. And also you'll see the mannerisms that Henry brings to it. Mm-hmm. Just the bruteness, the kind of, you see he's a brutal kind of fighter, a brutal kind of guy. Just how he cracks his neck, he stretches his neck right before he's going to go. He's just
but not a gorilla.
No.
He's
No, he isn't. There's an elegance. It's very interesting.
Yes. And here's the lovely Rebecca Ferguson again. All of this was worked out in this geography, and we shot it over 2 Sundays.
Chris, the design of this is fantastic. Again, the length, the depth,
the trains,
the motion. It's just the choice of locations, how you shot it. I saw this, I never tire of looking at these shots. And look at this, the design. You come over, here she is.
It's all of this
You're
is
just
about
wondering, who is that? You have,
and you
have so much
know who
going
it
on,
is, but you don't.
Yeah. And it's taking your time, allowing the audience to absorb that. Now it's perfect shot to have that here.
And
again.
A shift in Lauren's score. When the truck tips over, it stops being the mission theme and it tells you now
and that
it's on.
You discovered
way
right
late.
At the end.
Way late.
Just kept honing the music and honing the story.
And a big
incredible work.
A big thank you. A big thing about this sequence is the sound design and the music and how they're mixed together. We were getting a lot of notes that this sequence was too long, and we couldn't understand why. And we realized that the music and the
moment there, Henry,
great.
The music,
great. That it was all coming at kind of the same volume, and you were exhausted by the time you got here.
Yes,
and we still had a whole chase scene.
Yes,
you were already, your ears were punished. So we spent days mixing this sequence so that it was right to the edge, but never too far. And you had to pick your moments. When did music matter? When did sound matter? When did they both matter together?
Yep.
And
look at this. All this here, Sean in there.
Yeah.
Caged in
a great rig built by Neil Corbold, our amazing.
Fantastic. Been wanting to work with him forever
team.
and finally had this opportunity to work together.
This rig too. There's a rig that had casters underneath it. You remember? And
Yeah,
it was impossible to control.
It would blow as I was just going out to help me make that turn.
This hurt.
Oh, these guys coming out like that hurts.
Yes. And we shot this on a really sunny day, and this we shot on a tank at Leavesden. These were all things we couldn't do in the Seine River.
That's a tank.
There's a tank. That's Neil Corbell's rig, which is revolving at 180 degrees.
And look at that. The water comes in.
Sean had to do that several times. And then look, it's pouring rain. And I was, remember we were shooting. I was agonizing.
I know.
We kept wiping off the windshield. Nobody notices.
No.
Nobody cares. If you're on story.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Here's
Simon Pegg, who
learned how to
swim with a rebreather.
Yep. Got certified in a rebreather.
He's certifiable anyway.
Yes. It's fantastic. Love him.
And that was again right before it started raining.
I know. All the cars coming in.
And then this alley, it's a very old alley.
Part of the alley I'm driving into.
Yes.
And I didn't want to hit the walls. I'm going in fast.
Yes.
I did not want to touch those walls.
No, it was so bad.
We had to build out.
Well, and then to wedge the truck in there, they weren't going to give us the permission. So I said, well, what would it take for them to give us permission? They said, well, they don't want that truck coming down the alley. And I said, well, what if we did it in a way that the truck doesn't have to go down the alley? And so
that's me going in.
That's him going in. And then all of this we did later. And we built on the back lot this right here. We built that so that we could wedge it without damaging the old architecture. You remember the first time Henry kicked the windshield?
Oh, yeah.
He kicked it and it just went flying out in one kick.
Flew down the alley.
I was like, hey, Superman, try to make it look hard.
Exactly.
Yes. Give it some effort. And this was the beginning of our, things going wrong for Ethan. And all of it, of course, is the necessity of we got to separate these two guys.
And this is high speed.
And the alley, it actually does. It's not an alley; it's a brick wall. And you remember you had to take off and stop
high
before
speed
you hit
and
the
then
wall.
Stop.
And we added the alley later. And then this is you just headed in the opposite direction. And this
Benji, Simon learning the boat.
Yep.
Okay, not as easy as it looks. I just want to tell you,
definitely not. And it was the sort of thing that we had our heads down and we were shooting so quickly that it wasn't until Paris was done that we were like, this scene had boats and trucks and cars and motorcycles and helicopters. It was crazy. Trains.
I know. I love that train.
Oh,
I love that train.
Tommy Gourmet, our amazing AD, had timed the trains and knew when they were coming, when to call action. And then here we go. You were supposed to have a rig.
Yeah.
There was a safety rig so that Tom wouldn't have to drive on these cobblestones on a motorcycle with no helmet. The rig failed, and this was the first day. I said, what do you want to do? And you said, my brother, we got to shoot. And you got on the helicopter, on the motorcycle, and took off.
We're going to go like hell, man.
And that's it. And the whole design of the motorcycle chase went out the window on day one, and we went to old school, practical. We're doing it all for real.
High speed.
Yeah.
No helmet.
No helmet, no stuntmen.
Averaging.
Stunt drivers in these cars.
Yep. These cars coming in, boom.
And Lorne's score.
Fantastic. Me coming down through here, hammering. I'm hammering.
The Rue de Opera. And we shot this on the same day. That Rue de Opera is where I had the idea for the opera.
Yes, that Rue de Opera that inspired the Opera House for Rogue Nation. I love that.
I love that we were coming back to that.
This is high speed. I'm driving in between these cars at high speed. That was
scary.
It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. I mean, when we finish this day, you'll see we're all high-fiving each other that I'm still.
Oh my God. And here's the
cobblestones are cold,
which we shot the same morning.
Yep. Cobblestones are cold. It's due. I'm hanging on to this bike as best I can, keeping the speed up. Cars coming at me.
You should have wiped out.
I'm saying, please just hold your line and don't hit me. Just don't try to avoid me. I'll avoid you. And I just going full tilt through here as fast as I possibly can.
Now, sharper eyes will notice that the sun is rising.
Yeah.
In those early shots, they gave us the Arc de Triomphe for 2 hours at dawn. And by the time the sun came up, we had 90 minutes to shoot. So any attempts of making that safer and easier for you or waiting for the cobblestones to warm up, that wasn't an option.
We just had to go.
Yep. And we
So
got all of that in 90
I had
minutes.
bikes with tires warmed up. Oh.
Catapult.
Oh.
And everybody asks how we do that. We do it. Tom's on a catapult rig that hits that car and throws him over it. It's a pretty painful stunt. And
that's not acting.
Take the credit. Take the credit. You're a brilliant actor.
I love this shot, man. Lots of discussion as to which angle will they see the net, how to reveal it.
Yeah.
Look, I love this moment, McHugh. This is pure McQuarrie right here.
And you remember,
I was thinking, I thought, I love that look between
and it was
these guys.
originally that music, the music that was playing over the Lorne music that was playing over the what if sequence. And it was very emotional. It worked very effectively here. And at the last minute,
you changed it, which is like, McHugh, I love this cue. It's one of my favorite cues in the movie.
Lorne did this in an hour, and it was so fantastic. And it gave the whole movie, what it does is we were so in love with that other piece of music, we lost sight of what mission is, which is pulling the rug out.
Yep.
And what we were leaning into was the regret that Ethan had in having to do this mission.
Yes.
And it's like, no, they won. Let's give him that. And it's much more effective.
And I love that you took out all the sound. It's just the music. You did a brilliant job on this mix, McHugh. It just keeps it. It's like it, and you feel the team. I love Simon did this. It's like looking at him. It's like, okay, he's good.
It's all the communication and a whole thing of the team has been introduced with no waste of time. And this is Alex Beneček, who is just a phenomenal actor. This scene was originally written as you and a man, and you read the script and said, make it a woman. It'll be a lot more impactful if it's a woman.
And you made her, she's just doing traffic, cop. And it's just
wrong place, wrong time.
And
no, that is not a reference to Pulp Fiction. Everybody asks me that.
What? No.
It's Ving holding a guy with a hood on his head. They're like, is that a reference to the GIMP in Pulp Fiction? No, it is not.
I never thought of that.
And she's so wonderful in the scene. And a lot of what we did, a lot of the dialogue, we did in post. You remember?
Yes.
Some of the off-camera lines and this shot of Henry, to add tension to the scene, we added this shot right here. That was shot months later. And because I kept watching the scene and feeling like there's no danger in the scene before
and you want to feel it come from Walker. You're constantly hitting.
And I'm thinking it was Walker.
Now, we haven't had this in a mission before. This whole story and what you've done by putting this emotion in here, McHugh, I absolutely love it.
Thank you.
It's so... you're just telling people in a way there's consequences.
Yes.
There's consequences. It's like, this is dangerous.
The whole intention was that Ethan, the notion of the one life over millions and not wanting anyone to get hurt. And it's not clean. It costs. And it makes it's not easy. And that's
a great response, great reaction by Simon going,
it's a Simon.
The mission team, they're not killers.
No.
They're trying to do, it's the least amount of damage.
Well, it goes back to mission one. It goes back to you grabbing the knife with Jean Reno and saying zero body count.
Zero body count.
And not wanting that to, and never wanting there to be casualties. And I thought, I want all of this to cost Ethan. And and how far can we take that? And then when your suggestion was make it a woman, I was like, really? You want to leave a woman behind? That's really a little hard. And you were like, it's hard.
It's hard.
It's
he can't fix everything.
Yes.
And you're feeling that, like he saved her. I love this car. When you chose this car, I'm so glad we have. It's Paris. Look, we love Rendezvous. McHugh and I,
yes,
we love movies. We watch movies all the time.
Check it out. It's Claude Lelouch's Rendezvous.
And so the thing is that it's also, our whole homage, and the classic gorgeous city. You want a classic car.
Yes.
The green,
The green was, you remember Graham, who does our vehicles. He brought a BMW that's slightly older than this one. And it was that color. And Peter Wenham, our production designer, he said, but it's retirement green. It's like your father's BMW. I said,
Exactly.
It's great.
And look at this.
Yeah, this car has no ego.
No.
It's
It's just, we're saying it was so much fun to drive that car.
Yeah, it's not a flashy.
No.
It's a strangely non-flashy, very conservative car.
But it's got a lot of power, held the road well. And I just, in Paris, driving, look what it looks like. It just looks right. You look like, it just pulls me into the movie. It pulls me into the movie.
Yes. And I'll tell you why.
It's character. We had some pushback because they're like, don't you want a newer car? We're like, no, this is the movie, man. This is character.
It's timeless.
Yes.
And more important,
classic.
Newer cars, because of all the safety equipment in the newer cars, the way they're designed, the windshields are sloping. They're smaller. It's actually harder to see.
Yes.
And I wanted the car with the biggest possible engine and the biggest possible windshield. And that's how we ended up with that car. And then, of course, Graham brought us the green one. It was like, this thing is so great.
I had so much fun driving through all of this stuff. Look at this.
This is Jenny Tinmouth, who was driving the motorcycle. She also did Rebecca's doubling on Rogue Nation.
Love drifting around that. Yeah, Jenny's.
She is a 2-time champion of the Man TT, which is the hardest, most dangerous motorcycle race in the world. And the loveliest person.
Yep. And hardworking.
She's a total killer on the bike.
Now, I just didn't want to crash and hit any of these things. Now, we only had a few cars, so I had to do that move and dance it off the stairs. Everyone was like, how do we do it? I said, I'll go off backwards. They were like, what?
No, you said, I know what's wrong. I'll go off faster.
Yes.
Everybody's going, no, please don't. You were like, I got it. I'll go off faster. And you were originally supposed to go the other direction.
Yes.
And we realized, if you overturn it, you'll stick the landing. This location, the French were very nervous about giving us this. And thank you to the city of France for giving us that. And again, Jenny, this is incredibly dangerous. She has to get up to speed and has to stop in time. It was really difficult to do. And this was a moment. This was one of the earliest moments we talked about in the movie. In fact, breaking lane out, we talked about in Rogue Nation.
That's right.
During the last night of Rogue Nation.
Yes. We were talking about breaking him out and how we're going to do it.
Because Sean Harris was so upset that he wasn't going to be killed because he only wanted to do one.
Yeah, Sean Harris, who plays Lane.
Yes.
He's like, I only want to do one movie.
Promise me you'll kill me.
And then at the end of Rogue, we couldn't figure out how to kill him and realize it's not the right thing to do.
Yes.
And then he was like, oh my God.
And Don Granger, the producer, said, you don't have to worry. Sean's character's never coming back. And I said, well, unless Ethan needs to break him out to accomplish his next mission. Yeah. Don said, oh my God, I want to see that movie. And I ran to you. You were in your trailer. Sean was waiting to shoot the scene where he's chasing you. And I went to your trailer and I said, Tom, I've got this great idea. And you turned around and said, I got to break Lane out in the next movie. I was like, what? You said, I've been thinking about it all night. What else are we going to do with him? So I said, great, let's go tell Sean. It was like, you bastards. I'm never going to get out of here. Now, this location is on the other end of the alley where we shot the plutonium scene
at the beginning of the movie.
It was all in the same location. And for all these we kept having we had a camera issue and a focus issue, and we kept having to go back. We actually shot this scene 3 times.
We had focus problems. We had to reshoot, unfortunately.
Yes.
Sean's close up.
But the value of that was it allowed us each time to get deeper into the scene.
And you find different things.
The first time we shot it, and this is my credit goes to you. The first time we shot it, he said he doesn't say you should have killed me until Walker picks him up. And you watched the scene and you went, I think we should move that line sooner. That's the line that gets Ethan, is the line from the dream, and we're losing it by having it come later in the scene. And so we went back and reshot it, and we reshot your performance. And it's to your credit, Tom Cruise.
That's
Tom Cruise.
You're very generous.
No, but Tom Cruise, big movie star, and it's, this is Mission Impossible. It's his franchise. And only 2 times in all the years that I've worked with you have you ever come into the editing room and gone, I gave you something better, man. And it was this. You came in and you were like, I gave a very subtle reaction, and you were like, no, dude, he's freaking me out. Like, I gave you a better reaction than that. I was like, what? And I went in and I pulled up all the takes, and I was like, oh, he actually did. I was like, to your credit, it's like you're not the kind of guy who comes in and interestingly enough,
you got great taste.
But you are also, you will often say, I acted it. I can't judge it objectively.
It's hard for me to feel to be the effect of my cause.
That's right there. Boom. You were like, no, dude. And you had, and so we recut the scene so that you were more distracted and looking away more. And it radiated out and affected the whole cut of the scene.
And you hear the music. I love the music and his performance here.
Yes.
All your good intention.
And there's the movie and there's the story.
What I love is you see his performance in Rogue and then you see him here. You see
the change
that he brings.
Yes. And Sean, who is a very gifted actor and not an actor who wakes up in the morning dreaming about being in big Hollywood movies. Sean, when we would say to him, "This is for the trailer, Sean," he'd be like, he didn't want to hear it. I was like, "Come on, man, go for it.
Let's go.
Go for it. Be the villain, man." And he's trying to bring something authentic. And we're like, it's time to be in a movie.
Yes, exactly.
And right here is where he originally said it.
Yes.
And he said, "You should have killed me, Ethan," and pulled him away. And here Walker said, "I can
As
kill
they're
them
walking
all,
away, there was a shot where he said, "I could kill them all.
and we can walk away right
walk
now."
away.
And he says, "Death is too good for Hunt."
We got rid of that. This is the first scene we shot with with
Yes.
Vanessa. We're finding the character because really we're discovering like what.
Why not say that?
And,
Who is she?
and you, this was earlier in the story when we were playing with this idea that the movie was about how you were going deeper and deeper into a hole as John Lark.
Yes.
To get what you were really after. And Ethan was forced to become more of a villain to catch the villain. And we were going to play it that way. And you had a whole character you were playing. And Vanessa, when she showed up, the dynamic between the two of you changed. Do you remember?
Yes.
And suddenly the scene started to become more authentic. And as a result, I'm actually more connected to Ethan in this scene. I'm feeling his vulnerability. And thank God we just went with what felt right.
Yep.
Even though we thought the story was going somewhere else.
It's just the scene was better. And do you remember these moments? He's on his back foot. Look at the power that she has.
Yes. The comfort and confidence that she has.
Someone give us
And remember, we played different versions.
We're finding it and stuff where it's.
And she
she's
was
just
having
looking
more
at it,
fun
it's like-
and being more flighty. And we were like, no, you should be threatening, but not mean.
No.
Nothing malicious. It's just, I don't know what's going on in her head. She's a dangerous
You wrote the
person.
line, and you're going to bring her to me. I love this.
bitter. I'd hate for her to come between us.
And
She's so good in
we
this.
felt like we owed a payoff to this.
Yes.
And we agonized about it.
Yes.
And we were thinking, well, this whole movie has to boil down to a conflict between
Her and
Ilsa. And we realized that's not really the conflict of the movie.
this moment, this kiss was. I love this because it's. First of all, I love her line about family. What are you going to do? And I love this kiss. Like, I own you. It's not like.
She's achieved what she set out to do, and there's more coming.
And there's more coming. And that kiss is, I own you. And I love, we're finding it.
Mm-hmm.
We are finding that where it's not flirty. It's
dangerous.
You're mine.
And now this.
I love.
This,
I love.
You son of a bitch. You were like, you know what? Before this scene, there should be a scene where she's following me and I get the drop on her. I'm like, I don't have time for that. I just want to get to the scene. And this whole location is right next to where Jenny was driving down that colonnade.
Yes, so
and
good.
I went there with an hour and walked around and found this choreography. And I'm so glad we did it. So thank you.
Because what's beautiful is look at her performance that you have too. It has a yearning.
She has a problem.
Yes.
It's a problem in conflict with Ethan.
Yes.
And the other beautiful
there's a yearning that she just has. There's a romance. There's there's an emotion there that you feel.
And they're trapped in a maze.
They're trapped. And I love your design of this because here's the problems. It's like, here are these obstacles that we have. And will we ever connect?
And yes. And can we see the forest for the trees?
Yes.
And the interesting thing about this, all of which there's something that Tom has said more than once, which is, I'd rather be lucky than good. She's wearing green. You're wearing green. We have all this beautiful green. None of this was planned before we shot it. She chose that outfit and you chose that suit separate of each other when you did the White Widow scene, which was
Yes, and I remember I didn't like the
before.
suit at the beginning, and then you're like, we went the day before.
I said,
for,
keep tailoring.
keep it. I was like, Jeffrey, thank you very much.
Jeffrey Curlin, our costume designer.
Fantastic guy.
And then look
Genius.
at that. Look at
Thank
it.
you,
It all looks like design.
Yes.
And it's actually the movie gods smiling on us, right down to Rebecca's eyes, your eyes. It was.
Look at that. The lighting.
Yeah. And by the way, some of that is natural light. And a lot of that is Martin Smith, our gaffer, and Rob Hardy, as the light was changing throughout the day.
Yeah, tricky.
A scene takes a minute to watch, but it takes all day to shoot. And the sun is very uncooperative in that regard. And
we always wanted someone like Ingrid Bergman.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? That was who we wanted always.
She has a timeless vulnerability, and she has the great it that an actor like Rebecca has is, I don't know what she wants, but I want her to get it.
Yes, exactly.
Whatever it is
she just
wants,
draws you right in.
She really does. She's very strong that way and very trusting. And
yes.
Our dynamic, many people have pointed out, we've made so many movies together and are after so much of the same thing that a lot of times we've had the conversation without actually articulating it. And Rebecca is often there going, no one understands what you're doing except you. Can you
just tell me?
Yes,
please.
But she never gets frustrated by it. She's just great. No. It's like, okay, boys, come back to earth. Tell me what's going on.
Let me in.
And originally here, at the end of this scene, there was another scene to remind you of Angela Bassett and Alec Baldwin, who've been out for a while. And as we were compressing the scene, as we were compressing the movie to make the movie shorter, I experimented with lifting that scene out. And another thing that's going on in this scene is that same music is playing over the wedding. But now what's playing, we've taken out all the high strings. And now it becomes this same music, but more emotional. And as you walked away, this dissolve that originally took us to a scene about you takes us into this dream. And this was Rob Hardy and we came to work that day going, we have had no time to plan this dream. And it was in a black space, and she came out of darkness and you came out of darkness. So we didn't know how to actually shoot that with the elements we had. And this is all leftover stuff from the Grand Palais.
That was fantastic.
That was just sitting on the stage.
I know. I showed up on the set. I'm like,
what the hell are we doing?
What are you doing? You guys you guys threw this together in about 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, trust 20 minutes.
Trust me.
I was like, this is
cool. It's going to be cool.
And it is.
Oh, it's this whole section. And then to wake up, and it's another rule we've broken in Mission Impossible. Yes. We've jumped ahead to another place before we've established it.
Yeah.
And you come out of it going, how much of this has been a dream? It was a really impactful cut that we discovered in the editing room and just went with. This we shot right next to St. Paul's, shot it in about half an hour.
Same day.
Yeah. And this is one of my favorite cues in the entire movie.
But also structurally, taking Angela out, I love this cue. I love this cue. I love the shot that's coming up, by the way.
Oh, well, all of this business. I'm feeling the team.
Yes.
But nothing is stopping.
No.
And I'm feeling all of their collaboration together. And
the choreography is excellent. I love this, how the lights go on.
And
revealing, bringing in Alec. We don't have enough time to talk about it. We had a whole different story point that we were going to go through here, but then having Alec here.
That's right. It was going to go someplace else entirely, and the movie was struggling to get there.
Yep.
And interestingly, Alec in the wide shot there was not holding the dossier. Do you remember?
Yeah.
We moved on to the closer shot, and I went, "Oh my God, I forgot the dossier. Yes. We'll fix it later." And they put it in his hand digitally later. So much fun. And all of this, you remember, we had to shoot this location. We had no time.
My foot, my ankle, I couldn't even walk. This was they'd done the running. We did the day before. The day before, and I couldn't walk. In any of these things, I literally couldn't walk. Like in between takes, I'm sitting down.
So here, Tom has a broken foot and had finished the foot chase the day before, and Alec is overdue for a double hip replacement to come and shoot the scene. So the both of you are out of your minds in pain. And by the way, to understand the pain of a hip replacement, it is like having a knife stuck in your hip when your hip is given out like that. And Tom is absolutely blind with pain. He had finished the foot chase on an ankle that he had broken 5 months before.
Yes.
And that's why I blocked the
was
scene
like,
the way that
exactly,
I did. I was like, okay, I got an idea. How about you don't walk in this
Yes,
scene?
exactly.
How about the whole scene happen
Let me
around
lean
you?
on the table.
Please, just anything to support
please.
myself. Yes. And this location we had in our pocket.
Oh, great
And we
location.
never knew what scene we were going to shoot.
Didn't we
only
know
that
about
we
this
were.
location on Rogue?
Yes,
We
Yes.
knew about this location on Rogue Nation.
we did.
And you had to design this and the entire gunfight
On the morning.
on the morning.
Again, because our schedule was so compressed and because we were still figuring out
The story,
the
where
story
are we?
right up until days before we did it. Your performance here is great. And what's lovely about this scene is, and Eddie Hamilton watching it, he was going, but they would already know this information. And I'd look at him and say, yes, Eddie. And he goes, oh, I get it. Okay. That this is all for Walker's benefit. It's all real. It's all true emotion, but it's all a performance.
Yes.
And Eddie was so caught up in the scene that he kept saying, why would Hundley be telling them this if they already know?
I know. So you see the second time
Yes.
how we're all performing. Everything is for Walker.
And here's this is why you have Alec Baldwin. He's so good.
This guy.
Just brings such gravity to everything that you do. And again, you remember this scene was originally written as him coming to help you. And I realized there's no conflict in this scene. And when we changed that, when we turned it into this battle. Now, two things I got to give credit to Alec Baldwin for. Alec said, he said, I have one request if I'm going to do another one. I said, what? And he goes, I want to die. Yes, I want to die helping Ethan. And then in this, and on the day, I said, okay, so Ethan's going to pull a gun on you and they're going to take you into another room. And he goes, why? That's like another half a page of dialogue. Goes, why are you pointing a gun at me, Ethan? He goes, just take a needle and jab it in my neck. And I was like, wait, we have a needle. We established it at the beginning of the movie. And that's the kind of collaboration you get out of Alec Baldwin. He's on story.
Yes.
And he's like, look, if it gets me out of the scene faster, but make the story better, make the story better. And also it meant he didn't have to walk around on his hips.
But he just also understands story and understand this movie so well that he was able to. I mean, look at the stuff that he brings.
Yes. And this
we'll go into that
scene was shot over 2 days. All this dialogue took so long because of all the coverage and all the little bits of storytelling that are required. And this is something I love your performance in this, and Alec too.
Yeah,
Rob Hardy, who loves to shoot in wide lenses. He loves to for people who don't understand focal length. A wide lens is like the human eye, and a long lens has a much softer background. And Rob had started to get more comfortable with long lenses, and he shot this entire scene on one long lens, even the wide shot. So it gives it this unique look. And when I came to the location, I said, we're going to have all these pages of dialogue here. When the gunfight starts, the environment needs to change because we've had this motif of evolving, but we can't leave the space. So let's turn off all the lights. And Rob and Martin Smith, the gaffer, were absolutely horrified. They said, well, then it's going to be dark. And I said, no, you remember when we came and scouted this location, there were these 2 construction lights, and it was the only light in the space. Now, what if we have these emergency lights? And that changed the whole space without really changing it.
It was a fantastic idea because you feel this progression in story and visual progression.
And I wouldn't have thought of it if those construction lights hadn't been on.
That's making movies you have to be able to relax. It's intense, but you have to be able to relax and know a good idea.
Relax and don't get comfortable.
Exactly.
Relax and get to a place where you're just like, I'm looking at the space.
But you've got to be in present time, seeing what you're seeing, seize opportunities, and seize mistakes and turn them into opportunity.
That's exactly, and accept disaster.
Yes.
You got to welcome chaos because it's coming one way or another, as this movie proved. And here's a shot done in camera.
Yes.
We used a motion control camera so that you could do the same shot 2 times. And we are always trying to find a fun way to do the mask gags that isn't CG. And none of this required any CGI whatsoever. That shot's all done practically. And it's just a simple split screen. It's one of the oldest techniques there is. And all
This you
of
wrote
this,
right the morning.
Yep.
Right when we were, the
Yep.
whole staging, it was just, how do we get out of here? The whole thing of how much do we see Lane? How do we not see Lane?
And what's Lane's behavior?
Yes. And what's Lane's behavior?
If Lane is Lane and not Simon, and you can see he's like handling him there, but wasn't handling him earlier. We played with
We have to
all
keep
these.
honest and then go, okay, we're going to be off.
Yes. And Sean Harris, in the moment coming up, he said, oh, here we are establishing. This is all taking our time to establish the knife. That was the shot you kept saying. I want to see the knife. I want to know it's there. And I want to tell the audience something's coming. So that even when Walker's been caught, he's still
We know
dangerous.
it's there.
Still subconsciously thinking about the knife.
Now look at this. This scene is so much fun.
This is so
Now
much
here's
fun.
Sean playing Benji.
Playing Benji. And he said,
Playing Sean.
he
It's
said-
so much fun.
yes, and Sean's method was to say, well, I think I'm Benji now. And Benji thinks he's giving the performance of a lifetime. So he's overdoing it. And I said, Sean, no offense. You should overdo it more often. You're really good at it. You're really good at it. And you remember we shot a much longer
Yes.
scene that explained the whole movie. And you didn't need it. And nobody asked for it.
No,
But we made clear how did the plutonium end up there?
that's the first swear word in a Mission Impossible movie.
That is true. My apologies to all
the mothers.
to all the mothers and fathers out there who brought 12-year-old kids who didn't know that word. I'm sure there was at least one of
I
them.
really like their performances. They came on this day
Yeah,
and they just, each take, they brought it.
they brought it.
Every take.
I was so worried we'd be in
So
the
much
cell
fun.
for a long time finding the scene.
And we didn't have the time.
Oh, they crushed it. They crushed it. And when you have those moments, and there's one coming up later, which I'm going to point out involving you, when you have those moments, when you have a complex scene in very little time. Look at Sean. It's like, yeah.
Look at his eyes.
And there's the plot of the movie. The apostles will give you the plutonium. And people, I love that the response to this has been either it's the most convoluted plot or it's the simplest
Yes.
plot, depending on who reviews the movie. And if
Okay,
you-
now, hold it. Love this moment from Sean. Wait. I love this moment. Henry realizes
Henry, yes,
the
I'm like
audience.
starting to
And I
tremble.
like this. And I like his. I'm sorry.
It is,
I love the what.
yes.
When you wrote that line, it's just, look at him.
It's just the job. No hard feeling.
Everybody here
Oh.
was having fun. And
Okay, now,
this moment,
Alec.
Ruined your day.
improvised line.
Oh, and you were doing so well up until then. And I think
That was improvised as well. And it was, again,
Yes.
just Alec, what he brings to it.
Just
and the
having
fun,
so much fun playing
he's
this
having.
character and being in the movie.
And the audience are in the palm of his hand. Every time I've watched this movie with a crowd.
They just, and you just love it.
And the choice Lorne made here, this music,
It's
the end of a movie.
yes.
And it was a really bold one. And you remember we pulled it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it really felt like the end of the movie. But
Sean.
But it was a great instinct of his to feel like it's all over and
The
this is what
team,
the movie was
yes.
about. You feel
Again.
the team together.
Again, you feel like, okay,
You're feeling delivery, and all
Yes.
of this sense of delivery is bringing you to it's unpreparing you for what's
to
about
come.
to happen. And that's all very much that's a calculation, and again a sense of being surrounded, and you're looking very carefully. Walker is not the one surrounded in that shot. He looks surrounded, but the truth of the matter is the trap is actually going the other way. And you remember we spent a lot of time about, well, where will the table
Yes.
be, and where will they be standing?
Yes.
What's the depth of the space? It all radiates outward from this moment, and
it's
everything
very
else.
tricky. Him walk. Also,
Where's he walking from?
where's he walking from? You and I had
Oh God.
too many discussions about what. I don't know where I am in the space.
Yeah.
Where is he walking from?
Yep. And we
figured out
argued
it
about
worked.
which way.
Yes.
Which way we debated?
Yes.
Which way do they come from?
Yes.
Was he here? Or was he there? And we ultimately wanted him to land in that space without too much shoe leather. And these shots of Angela we stole in a scene that we ended up cutting out of the movie. Originally, she was just on the phone.
This was tricky.
This was
The
very-
cue,
see,
the
now
design
the
of
lighting.
this?
It becomes
Okay.
Enter the Nightmare, and you'll notice all of the light is provided by flashlights or these bright lights that you're seeing in the background where everything becomes silhouette. We had to move those lights constantly.
When do you bring Ilsa in? At which point?
That's right.
Editorially and also getting these shots. And then
And I don't trust him.
and making Angela's agenda clear.
Yes.
Remember, we added a lot of the lines in post.
Yes.
So that you understood she was not in league with Walker. People were starting to think they were in it together.
Yep. And that she's not. Now look at this. Now he knows what's coming.
Yes.
Do you?
And this is one of the earlier
Go.
shots we designed in this sequence.
Now, how much time to take to know this is going?
And all of this was shot in a day. All of the gunfight, everything. We had no time. And it's little pieces, but they can't be cutting. And you remember I said, we don't have time. I'm going to do shaky cam. I'm going to get us out of here. It's going to be silhouettes and confusion. And I tried to do it. It didn't. And I simply couldn't.
It didn't
the camera just kept settling.
It didn't work.
It didn't work.
It just didn't work. And we're like, okay, we have to stick with
what we know.
And we just keep going. We're all just, let's go. We're in this area. Just look at that.
And you guys had to leave this day early to go to Graham Norton.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
Remember, so we had extra pressure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here it is. Boom. Great performance.
Fantastic. And all of this was happening. Some of these shots where you're not in, you're already gone. Because you guys had to leave and go to Graham Norton. It was all such chaos and little shots on the table that we got months later. But again, all of this was figured out, choreographed, and shot in a single day. And it was only from having experience of shooting gunfights that I had confidence to do it. But also, we'd never had a real gunfight in a mission movie.
No.
And had deliberately avoided it.
Yep.
We're very sensitive to guns and gun handling, but the movie was sort of saying, this is where it was going.
This is where we needed to go for this one.
Yes. And I love this. I love that necessity provided us with, I was like, that Luther ends up saving you. It takes him into a different place than we've seen him before. Sure. And then these moments with you guys were really nice. It was, and originally, you remember, we did it all silently. And you called me in the middle of the night. And the audience was saying, we want more of a moment between Ethan and Hunley.
Yeah.
They wanted him to say something.
Yes.
And we're like, what's he going to say? It was going to be, and you called me in the middle of the night and you said, I know what it is. I know what it is. And it was go. And it worked beautifully. So Alec actually recorded that on an iPhone.
Is that the final?
Yeah.
Is that the final? That's an iPhone recording?
He did an iPhone recording.
Right.
He was in Long Island, I think. And he gave me several versions of go. And emailed them to us. He texted it to me. That's technology.
That's amazing. Look at that.
And again, the dynamic of Ethan saving Ilsa, or Ilsa saving Ethan, and then Ethan ultimately delivering Ilsa. That motif that we brought back from Rogue Nation.
And we wondered. I love this. The editing. They're already there. I wondered how. When we talked about it, how's the movie going to recover from Hunley's death? There's a broken ankle. Every time I look at this, I'm thinking, ow, ow, ow.
Ow, ow, ow. His right foot is broken in every shot of the foot chase except half of one shot, which I'll point out to you. Broken foot. St. Paul's Cathedral, thank you so much to everybody at St. Paul's
thank you.
Who let us do this. It was an enormous act of good faith. And this shot here was originally coverage. We were going to cut from this shot. And when we watched it on the monitor, we realized it's the first part of a very gradual reveal of what's actually happening in the church. And we saw this and started laughing. And we said, oh my God, this is. And most importantly, we debated wedding or funeral. Do you remember?
Yes.
There was a lot of debate as to which one it was going to be. And the funeral is what got you out of it. It helped the transition.
It helped the audience.
Yeah. And frankly, it's a little more inappropriate.
Yes.
Broken foot. Ow.
Look at this.
That was not an easy shot to get.
Gorgeous location.
And all of these shots were shot later. Yes.
Came up with this.
Well, because again, you were every day you'd come to set and you'd be like, okay, what's Benji saying to me here? And we would play with different things. So everything that you improvised to Benji, we then had to shoot.
Yeah, you would throw me lines and we'd just keep playing.
Yeah, we were just playing with what your conversation was. None of it was really planned. And this was the day you broke your foot. We had nothing better to do.
You went and shot Henry after I broke it.
I was like, let's just shoot Henry walking around to burn up the rest of the day. And I shot versions of it with the case and without the case because we didn't know what had happened yet.
Is he going to have the plutonium? We didn't know.
We didn't know there was going to be an exchange. We didn't know is this where they lose the third plutonium? This is actually 120 feet from one building to the other, but magically it doesn't look like it.
Nope.
And we were originally going to have a big crane that you were going to get on and swing over. And when I was scouting that roof, I went, wait a minute, this looks like it's 10 feet away. And of course, everybody in London knows how ridiculous that is. And again, 360-degree geography. We started on that roof, this roof right here.
Yes.
This is where it happens. This is part 2 of a 2-part shot that we stitched together. And Tom's ankle is broken. This is shot 5 months after.
Here it is. This is the start.
And here's where it happens.
I go in, take 3.
That hurts.
First time I grab the pole, broken. I know it.
And all of this is being shot simultaneously. All these cameras are rolling at the same time.
Broken.
And it's all done
I have
in
to
one
get past camera.
Yes, exactly. I got to get past camera. I went to see you, and you were laying on this. You were laying on a couch with your foot up and a bag of ice on it. And you said, "Did we get the shot?" And I said, "Yeah, we got it." You said, "Good, because we're not coming back."
Yeah,
it's broken.
That's it.
And this woman, Fionn, she is so perfect. The extra casting in these scenes, it's a very big deal. You don't think much about it, but look at all the extras, especially the extras in the church. They're extraordinary. A shout out to all of them. It's a one wrong extra can really take a scene apart.
Yep.
Everybody in this was really excellent and helping to convey.
We came up with this right before
Improv. And originally, the jump was only 8 feet. You were going to smash through the window, and you were just going to keep going.
Out.
And then we were looking at going, well, why is he hesitating?
I love this. That's like the woman.
It's the lady in the black dress.
Yes, I love
black and white dress. It's so fun. Oh, yes, the lady putting her hand in her mouth.
Yes.
And again, that was you and I sitting in the room riffing on different reactions.
Riffing on different things. Let's go through different reactions and coming up with an idea to go, how do we start winning the audience, but without breaking character? Finding the character comedy that we love.
It's not jokes.
No.
It's humor. It never breaks
wit.
Yes.
So I love doing this, but it hurt.
It hurt. And you remember, you were originally going to jump through the glass, bounce off a train, and tackle a guy in the train station before we knew that the tracking thing was in his neck and you couldn't do it anyway.
Yep.
And I said to you, it
was a cool shot, McHugh. I love the design of this. So cool.
And
that was the last running shot right there.
And he's
so you
going
see
for
me
it.
going, I'm going for it. This is it.
That's right. That's right.
That was in the morning.
Lauren, by the way, talks about this in his commentary. There's a really nice piece about how this is all composed. You should definitely check it out. But you remember, you were going to jump through the train bridge.
That's right.
And you and I talked about it, and I said, you know what? Here's my problem with the stunt. 2 things. I can't see your face, and it isn't that great a stunt. Why are we going to do this? And there's so much other stuff coming up, and thank God we did. Because that was when the tracking device was on his coat and not in his neck. And we would have cut it out of the movie anyway. And it was how you and I are constantly evaluating how is this stunt, subjective, but more importantly, it was before we had the idea of you jumping out the window. So we still got the jump, but we got it with character and not spectacle.
And seeing something that I like his performance here.
Performance is wonderful. And then this, remember, we originally...
Dude, I love your design, though. Always, you write it, you're like, okay, no, he's staring at me when I get there. And it's just so funny. Every time we get a laugh.
And I was totally inspired by that just in the writing of the scene. And because I thought we've seen this scene before. We've seen other characters jump on the bottom of elevators. But this notion that our expectation is that he's not going to know you're there. And to have you, and you're totally vulnerable. Puts a vulnerability on you. And also, the way we originally edited the scene, we saw the photograph before you did. And it forced a cut that took away the emotion from Ethan. And by following Ethan's emotion in these scenes and letting Ethan's emotion dictate the cuts.
It pulls you in.
Lighting in this is extraordinary.
Yeah, lighting is exceptional.
It's really great. All great cinematography.
I loved filming this.
This, we built this roof on a back lot.
That's real.
Was real.
That's
And
the tape.
everybody was saying, you don't need to go on the real thing. We have the backlot shot. I was like, really?
Really?
Wait till
We're
we get
doing
there.
this.
And you wouldn't have this.
Fast.
And this shot, we have shot on the fly, no pun intended. There was no time to
We had
coordinate
so
it.
much to do that day.
We were doing it all by walkie-talkie, and we were finding the shot
We basically
on the
climb
day.
up the side of the building.
on that rickety ladder.
Yes, it was the last running day that I had, and
It's horrible.
we did this.
Yeah, there
shot.
is no elevator up to the top
No.
of that. You actually have to climb a
That was
wooden
so
ladder.
cool.
And then, and this was, we originally had a scene in between this that got into character and subplot and all of this other stuff. And we took it out and it kept on story. Just
Yep.
made a much more effective.
There's a lot of, you and I debated back and forth, the relationship, the choreography,
Mhm.
and kind of went, I'm glad. I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
I'm really,
Yeah.
I think it was absolutely the right
It was a
decision.
whole scene between you and Ilsa.
Yep.
And it didn't need to be there.
We always wanted to have some sort of, you know, combat with Ethan and Ilsa in a way that feels just that romance.
That comes from how they care about each other, not
Yeah.
it's the conflict between how they feel about each other and what they must each do. And what I think what we realized is there's more of their story to tell you.
Yes.
It was kind of resolving
At
their
the end,
story.
we felt that with the story that's going to come with Michelle.
That's just it. It's what you felt. The way into the scene was people were saying, well, what about Julia?
Yep.
And we were asking
Yep.
that same question
Yeah.
again.
What about Julia?
And we need to resolve that story. So for future missions, I'm sure you've got at least 10 more in you. And this scene was when we talked about bringing Julia back. This was the second scene.
Yes.
I knew that if we were going to introduce her, someone had to tell the story to Julia, and I knew to Ilsa rather.
And that's Ving.
And I knew
Luther.
it should be Ving. And the day they showed up, you know, Ving's never
So
really done
good.
anything like
My
this in
gosh.
Mission. And I didn't really know. It was another scene like when Sean and Henry showed up. Rebecca and Ving were just crushing this scene. And something I like to point out, what's being said is often just as important as who is listening. And as good as Ving is in the
Yes.
scene, Rebecca's reactions to what Ving is
Beautiful.
saying
Look at that.
are what Rebecca's doing in the movie is communicating emotions that Ethan can't or Ethan won't. And you're deepening their relationship by showing the understanding that she has of him. It's a very fine line you have
Yep.
to walk because you don't want to make her weepy.
No.
either. She's talking about characters.
Compassionate.
There's
caring.
compassionate. There's an empathy
Yes.
that Rebecca has, that Ilsa has for Ethan. And Rebecca is just so good at communicating
I know.
that
Look at
without
that.
ever sacrificing her character. And Ving was so good here.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Really. Look
And
at that look. Look at it.
Is everything all right?
And then
I love
the
that
shot.
reaction, Luther eye. Yeah,
Yes.
This,
And that reveal, that shot was, and now look at this great location. It was this parking garage that was just filled with water. And one of the challenges of that is there's a lot of lights in there
and it's
and
freezing.
space heaters and everything. That's a very dangerous
Yes,
environment to work in.
electricity.
You guys
It's
think the
like-
helicopter chase is dangerous.
We could have-
Everybody could have been electrocuted.
The movie could have, everything could have ended this day.
That could have been it. I don't care how many rubber boots you're wearing. And now, and the other thing about the scene that we just went through, it's the exposition that's setting you up for the third act of the movie. We're introducing new stakes yet again. And these scenes are always a challenge. And normally we tend to shoot these scenes in as confined an environment as possible so we can go back and reshoot them and retweak them. And we didn't have the option to do that. We
had to nail it.
really had to know.
And a lot of times we'll overshoot the story so that we can cut it back.
Always.
And this, it was
right there.
It was right there.
Yeah. We felt by now,
After 3 of them?
after 3 of them, or in your case, 6 of them,
6 of them.
but also by now in the movie, the rules were clearer.
Yeah.
And the options were fewer and and what needed to be made clear. And also we'd spent a couple of weeks in the editing room during the
That's
break.
right.
We
During
had a
the break,
hiatus.
to go through
Yes.
how
We had a hiatus when Tom broke his ankle, and it allowed us
Time to
cut.
start working.
Yeah,
Look, what I love about a mission movie also is you can go Kashmir, push into the computer screen, and then cut to these beautiful shots. This is actually, we're shooting in New Zealand for Kashmir. There was a whole great scene that you wrote and shot that we loved, where we come upon a camp where you see the border where,
Yeah.
and you see that Lane and Walker basically annihilated these people at the border. And it was haunting, and it was in the first trailer.
it's in the first trailer, and
I loved it.
in our deleted shots reel, we've included
Yep.
some shots from that scene, which you'll
And
see.
you'll see it. It was
And
very
the truth
cool.
of the matter is, it's just not mission.
No.
However, and what it was
Slowed
for,
everything down.
but what it was for, it was before Walker killed Hun Lane,
Yes.
and it was to establish what
It's
kind of
before we
villains they were.
decided that
Yes.
Lane killed Hunter.
That's right. And and the scene was meant to establish the brutality of Walker and Lane, and they had murdered all these people.
But again,
You didn't need it.
you didn't need it. And also, it's better to see the character do it.
That's correct.
That's where I feel it.
That's right. And so all of this dialogue was, and you'll remember, we went back and shot it again.
Yep.
This is a typical scene where you're getting an information dump, and we shot it early, a little earlier in the London part of our shooting when we were at the studio, and because you shoot it in this confined environment, you're allowed to go back and change it, and we had to tweak little bits, and you remember we debated long and hard about motive. This is really the only nod to the villain's motive, their plot in the movie, which is always a very difficult thing. And originally, Kashmir is actually a very complicated political environment. And we thought, they would all know that. So why would they be explaining it to each other? And we decided what people understand is water. And this is my apology to, apparently when we did the map, even though we vetted the movie, saying Indian controlled Kashmir was actually an insensitive way of wording it. And some people approached me on social media. And so I apologize, going back to the map, and if I offended anybody with the way it was really all just a matter of making it people understand the different countries that were involved.
Where we are, the geography.
I just, as an ignorant American, I didn't know enough. But we did vet it, and nobody said anything. For example, when we did, Russia, the Russians, when we showed it to them, they said, "This is how you be careful with the map of Russia."
Yes.
Yes. So we did check. Nobody gave us the flag or anybody upset about that.
This is where it ends for me.
Love the score here, by the way.
Yeah.
This is New Zealand.
And this camp, except for the deep background, all of this is built practically. And all of it is arranged around a single shot. When we went down to that location, we still hadn't worked out a lot of what was happening on the ground, but we knew that Ethan had to meet Julia, and we knew that Julia, we wanted to put her in the absolute best spot we possibly could. The sun rises behind those mountains behind them, and as a result, it only gives us 5 hours of light a day because it was the winter time. So it's very low light, very warm and very beautiful, but there's very little of it. So I went a couple of days before and arranged the entire camp around where Julia would be standing,
And for
which
this
was right
moment.
where time is now, and all to give you this moment.
Ethan?
And this was the third moment when we
That
first,
moment right there.
yes, knowing first was the dream, second was the scene with Luther, and the third thing we knew was this scene. So this is one of the earliest scenes we actually wrote for the movie.
The shot I love. Look at her.
Well, it's all, look at the
First
light.
of all,
First of all,
she's a brilliant actress.
Michelle Monaghan is incredible, and came to us at a point when we hadn't worked out a lot of this business in the camp. We knew this scene.
Remember they were going to have a baby at one point?
Yes, they were going to have a
2
baby.
days before we lost that.
Oh, I cast a baby and
Yes.
looked at it and was like, this is just too much business in the scene. It's getting in the way. And it was also Luther.
He's
could say, "Go be with
fantastic
your
too in
family." Oh,
this.
he's amazing.
Please, it's like,
Well, this is a very tricky scene because all the actors are playing a lot of subtext along with the text. And you have to do one of the most challenging things in the movie, which is you have to tell the audience you're lying, but not lie. You don't see what I'm saying? There's that.
yeah. And also to tell her, no, I'm working. Like,
Yes.
this is,
And so you look at the way we position the cameras. There's a camera over Wes's left shoulder that becomes about the conversation between the two of you. and there's a camera over Michelle's right shoulder, which becomes a conversation between the two of you. There's two separate conversations happening. Part of the thing about the light that's really tricky is we shot this later in the day.
Great performance by Rebecca. Go on.
Great
Shot it late in the day.
We shot it late in the day. So they had lots of time to do their side of the scene. And you had 8 minutes before the sun went down.
For my whole take.
For your all your coverage in the scene. And you said, shoot them first. You can shoot me later. You know, I'm standing in front of a tent. Get this light. That's very generous. That's But
that's what you and I do. We know it. It's like, serve them up.
That's it.
In 8 minutes, you and I looked at each other. We'll get it.
We'll get it.
Let's go.
Well, I was like, it's 8 minutes. I mean, the sun's really going down. I'd like you to have more time. And also, keep in mind, in that 8 minutes, you have to play the scene 3 different ways. Because remember, we said it's like play one where you're just being totally straight, play one where you're completely lying, and play one where you're kind of in the middle. And it gave us color to play with, and we used all the middle. It's so well acted. This is a really what we used is one take, and it's really a testament to how great you are in this scene. I mean, everybody in the scene is phenomenal. Well, thank you. And the tricky part of it is, where do you cut and when? Because it could be totally misdirecting if you got it wrong.
The editing on this is so good. The design, where you place the team. Michelle came in and she's unbelievable. And I love what you did with Rebecca and having Ilsa feeling for Ethan, her friend, this man she cares about, this relationship.
And to Rebecca's credit, he didn't know what that story was yet.
No.
So she's like, what am I doing? Aren't I looking for a nuclear bomb? I was like, no. There's a whole other thing going on here, and I need you to trust me.
Yes.
And so everything she's doing there is getting emotional about the scene and going, why am I getting so emotional? There's a bomb.
Exactly.
Why? What am I? Okay, I'll do it. I know. And she's really wonderful that way. She's very supportive and very trusting. And this, you remember, we had minutes to shoot some of these things. And all of this was under the pressure of the fact that you had to go train for the helicopter sequence.
Because I'm also training every day. Obviously, it's before I broke my ankle. I'm training every day for the helicopter. So all the stunts on the helicopter, I went to Airbus. I got my license in 12 days, but spent the next year and a half training to become
my favorite cut in the movie.
Love that cut.
Oh, that's great. Sorry, you were
no. I trained after that to be commercial pilot, aerobatic pilot.
There's a story there that Wes is telling.
Oh, about go on. No,
the story that he's telling. Sorry,
no.
That he's there's not jealousy in that scene. It's an understanding that his wife's past has come back, and I don't know the story. Lauren's score here is unbelievable.
Yes.
Landing on these entrances. It's really wonderful. I love the sense of team that was coming together here. And this is early in the movie, and it's our second location, and it's as we're starting to find the team rhythm of the movie.
Yes, and the story.
Yes.
Shot that in New Zealand.
How to make this truck look fast? Lots of cuts.
Yes. There's Henry. I'm going down
the hill, and we forgot to shoot this dialogue. So this is months later on a hillside.
And she's pregnant.
She's pregnant. And that was the hill that was going to be where your helicopter rolled down.
Great.
And then this was back in New Zealand. I'll figure it out. That's
like
the mission motto.
That's a mission motto. It's like, that should be cute. I was like, what do we do now? I'll figure it out.
And that was your suggestion, by the way. It was don't look. And I was like, I know what it is. I know what it is. He goes, it's something. It's like, tell her not to look. What did he say? And I was like, I know exactly what he said.
Yes, exactly.
Great note. And do you remember originally when the helicopter took off, we didn't follow you. We cut to that shot sooner to show your face. And it was Eddie Hamilton who was like, no, stay with the helicopter. And that was not our instinct.
No.
Our instinct was, boom, how do you get to the shot sooner? And it actually had a real impact. And this is one of the lovely discoveries that the teams that begin forming in this third act all came from the necessity of who's where and doing what. And the whole design of the bomb and the doomsday scenario all came about from, I need Ethan and Ilsa I need Ilsa and Benji to be doing something.
Yes.
I need Luther and Julia to be doing
brilliant
something.
Design, McHugh. That's the stuff that you do so damn well.
It's
all character. It's all story.
It's all necessity.
Yes.
And it all comes.
That was
character.
tricky to figure out. Actually, that hurts. That does hurt. That was tricky to figure out. Like, instead of just letting go, and I have to say, you don't want to let go.
No.
Going down your back. That we
shot
came up with
on the
Remember
day.
that?
Yep. You were like, you were saying, you were just like, you had this shot and you were trying to articulate it. And you were like, how do we show Ethan on the bag? And it's like a hill somewhere. I go, I got it. I know what you need. And we went and scouted and we got dropped off on the side of a mountain and it was cold. And you were waiting while we were trying to get the camera in place. And what you've got to appreciate is how close Tom is to that hillside. And if that bag snagged on those trees, the only option the pilot had was to cut the payload with
I love
Tom.
the pull away shot. We got that the second day. Do you remember?
Second day, yep.
We were like,
We did it once, and I was like, we can do
he
it
wasn't
better.
close enough. And I was climbing up the bag.
It was,
do you remember?
It was too long.
Yeah.
It was too long, and that other helicopter wasn't in the background.
Yes.
And I said, guys, we can do this better. And we went back and got it, and we ended up using all the shots in conjunction with each other. But a lot of our obsession.
Now, I'm glad you wait. Editorially, it's like, I like you're taking time with me breathing. It was exhausting climbing up that rope. And the movie is taking its time here.
Well, what I was about to say is our obsession was anywhere
Long
we can
cut.
hold in the shot.
Yes.
And we were being discouraged from shooting this moment.
Yes.
We were saying, oh, it's boring.
They're saying, no, it's boring. Don't do it. You could see in the EPK, I'm yelling at them. This is what I'm going to do.
It's like, I could do it. Just get out of my way.
Get out of my way.
Yeah. It really
was
great.
fun.
This was all
It's
fun.
really-
Adrian, you and Adrian worked on this forever.
Gosh,
It was so
look
much
at
fun.
this.
And another thing is that this is obviously all stuff that everybody would be dead if they were doing it for real. And so we had to find our moments in the story when we were doing things that were not real. And
I like
this
that
is all
shot.
on a stage. Yes. And what's really incredible is you can't tell the difference between
That's real. All that's real.
And that's what's really effective about the work that Jody Johnson and his team did.
Yep.
Because we had to get you to the place where it was real.
I'm in a helicopter going after.
All this is practical here.
How did you get in the helicopter?
Oh, some of it you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Some of it you'd be surprised. And then what's really nice, you remember we shot a whole bunch of stuff on a backlot of close-ups of you because we felt like the more close-ups we had, the more connected we were with Ethan. And we shot a ton of it. We threw it all out. We
Just wasn't working. Remember the first preview we had? Everyone's like, talking too much.
It's talking too much. Exactly. Why is he talking so much?
We're grateful. We're like,
yeah.
So we just threw it out.
We thought audiences needed it. And so look at all of this stuff. These are all these camera angles are designed to show you that there's not only is there not another pilot in the helicopter, there's not another seat for another pilot. And it creates visibility that creates completely unique shots for you. And then, of course, we have to teach the audience just a little bit
about helicopters,
about flying a helicopter and how difficult it is. And we shot a lot of stuff of how much did Ethan know about flying a helicopter. So we could shoot. Ethan knew nothing.
Yes.
Ethan
performed I know nothing.
Yeah.
To different levels of I know a little bit.
I have some sense of how you were.
I have to say, this is all in New Zealand. When we were flying out, we had, I don't know how many helicopters, 11, 12 helicopters to get out there.
Yeah.
The design of this with the bag, it's great tension, great design. I want to also thank all the helicopter pilots.
Mark Wolf.
Yep. Mark,
Andy,
Hugh, Andy, all the guys that taught me how to fly, that trusted me to fly, that trusted us to be able to do this. And the locations and getting these locations,
coordinating these and coordinating that shot.
Yes.
The amount of work of 3 helicopters and a counter move, all of this stuff is incredibly painstaking, very dangerous. And then, of course, there's just luck. The fact that when we went to that lake, that's called Lake Quill, and it was mirror smooth.
Oh.
It was because there you can see the wind is starting to kick up and the texture of the lake.
But it was mirror smooth, which also as helicopter pilots makes it a little difficult when we're flying that low over it.
You can't tell how far you are over the water.
No. So you really have to know.
So watch, when Tom does this dive, what Tom doesn't understand, to Tom, it looks like he's flying into the sky. And this shot will look at that. That's a reflection.
Yeah.
And so when Tom's looking down, he can't tell how far away he is from it looks infinite. And so you had to do this bank away and this
really
wing over.
Really,
we were very nervous. It was one of the scarier shots.
Knowing the instruments, it doesn't look it. Now the spin, of course.
There's the spiral.
Spiral.
Don't try this at home.
No, please. And I'm trying to keep as close to the side of the mountain as possible and go as low as possible and keep it moving. I mean, it's a very tricky maneuver.
And he's doing all of that. There's no stunt pilots used in that.
All of that. Every shot you see, gosh, this was fun.
That shot from a boat.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
Now we're so close. Look at Henry also doing this. He's hanging out of that helicopter.
Again, it's very cold.
It's so
and it
cold.
will only get
I
cold.
at least had heat, Henry. My hat's off to you, guys.
He's Superman. He's used to doing that sort of thing.
He's awesome.
Yeah. All of this, not all of it, but quite a bit of it, was shot on our backlot, which was another thing where I knew with these tents, if we couldn't finish it in New Zealand, we could finish it at home. And so we had these tents built on the location, but we would only go there as weather cover or anything else. And the rest of the time we spent with Julia and Luther. And this, we spent a whole day, actually more than a day, because we got rained out, you remember.
Yes.
Just shooting little bits and pieces and talking about their relationship. And we shot a little bit more of it. I'm surprised we used most of it. This is a place called Purity Glacier.
It's very,
hairy.
The rotor blades are just
super
sometimes
narrow.
a foot, 2 feet, 3 feet off the rocks if one of us made a mistake.
And the balance of the
Not
editing
good. of
this sequence. You remember
Yes.
we were in a place where we were testing the movie, and there were times when it felt too long. And it was always about finding the right mix of what was happening on the ground, what was happening in the air, and how did the two things intercut so that they felt like one was.
Well, we go back to Valkyrie.
Yes.
Which is the end of Valkyrie, the editing, the last, 10 minutes of Valkyrie, the last 5 minutes of Valkyrie.
Mm-hmm.
Really, the skill that you have in terms of balancing that many characters in this kind of story.
Well, and it's
I
about
love that moment with Simon.
I love it. I love Simon in this. Yes.
Nuclear bomb is just fantastic.
And watch this. Cuts like that.
Yes.
What we do is what Eddie Hamilton and I will do in post is we will experiment with cutting from one thing to another. And once you find a good cut, it tells you, well, what happened before and what happened after. And we experimented many times with what cut to what.
It's just,
and there are numerous versions of those cuts, and this is the one we ultimately said. This shot, I had to take out a whole wall behind the camera to get this, and so it took hours to get.
Haunted house.
It's deceptively complicated getting a shot like this. The timing of everything just right.
It's so good.
And I originally did it as a oneer from the time she came all the way down the steps and into this. I got carried away. Let's be honest. But again, here this intercutting.
Okay, now this cut.
You made a very good suggestion here.
From there
he says she gets hit and he says, Ilsa, come in. And you were like, you don't need it. Cut to here. Keep the stories.
Keep the pressure going. What's happening? And
we realized, yes, you didn't need to know that her comms had, I said, well, her radio's been knocked out. And you were like, nobody cares. It doesn't matter, man. We're on story. We got to move. And I really didn't think we'd get away with it. And it worked.
Just goes. It's what a balance act to come up and be able to.
And all the other material that we shot, which we ultimately looked at and said, what's really on story? We were very, very ruthless about it. There were things we really loved, and a lot of those that you'll see in this, again, in the deleted shots reel. I don't like deleted scenes.
Yeah.
I just give you a little sense of there's a lot more work behind it. And each cut is painful because each shot took so much to get. And the ruthless efficiency of making movies like this is saying, I love that shot, but I don't need that shot.
Story is king.
Yes.
Always.
Story is king. That line, Michelle improvised on the day and did it as a joke after we yelled cut. And I was like, well, that's a good line. Let's put that in the scene.
Good.
And Rebecca originally woke up in this scene and she startles when she opens her eyes because Lane is right in front of her and they're having this dialogue. that ultimately led into this. And I realized it was just all too much of a scene between them, and we didn't need it. We needed look how great Rebecca is in that moment. She's really strangling herself in that. And all of that is Rebecca just feeling the scene, the contempt she has for Lane. She's so effective. Both of them
love this.
so effective at this moment. There's a whole history between these characters that's expressed in just a moment of screen time. And of course,
the set too.
Yes, and all the weight of the movie comes to this point where you're not quite sure. Are they going to do what I think they're going to do?
Yes.
And I had
Are we going to kill Benji?
Are we going to kill Benji? And I had a delightful time on social media with people when I posted the picture of the funeral. They said, "Who do you kill?" And people were saying, "You're going to kill Benji. I know you're going to kill Benji." There would be rioting in the streets, and I would reply, "Oh." Maybe that was a mistake, that I shouldn't have done that. So to everybody I tortured, I enjoyed that.
This is so well shot, McQuarrie.
This moment, Rebecca here. Oh,
look at that.
Come on.
Oh my gosh.
And yes,
the intensity of that.
The amazing camera work that's going on in that, because again, we had very little time in these locations, and we didn't know what was happening when we were shooting the helicopter chase. We didn't quite have the scene in the house worked out yet.
No.
Also,
a lot of this stuff, when we were shooting this, we were feeling our way, even with the aerial stuff. We don't know what's going to happen with the team. We shot this.
Simon is so good here.
Yeah.
And Rebecca, they're how quickly they become a team at this point in the movie.
Know.
And a very important thing, I almost didn't have her tied up in this thing because I didn't want the damsel in distress. And I realized what a damsel in distress really is a damsel who needs to be saved. And if you're taking it too far, Rebecca never ends up in any real danger. And so we made friends with that idea.
Yep.
And it was it's not how she gets into trouble, it's how she gets out.
Yes.
All of this. We had so many miles of footage around these glaciers. That was a place called Volta Glacier.
Incredible. And
this is real. That's really Tom and Mark. They're a rotor width away from one another when they're doing that shot. It's incredibly, incredibly dangerous.
Look at this.
And a lot of these shots are very, very, very difficult. The fine line between what you can really do and what's going to kill somebody.
Yes. And we tried to push that
as far
for
as
the audiences as far as we could.
And as a result, some of the rigs we built were the best amusement park rides that no one will ever get to ride except you. Yes, there were some really cool rigs. I was like, we could charge for this.
Yes, we could give them on them.
Yeah.
Look at this. Great.
7 months pregnant. At this point in the movie, Rebecca ended up getting pregnant right around the time you broke your ankle.
Yes.
And the movie should have been over long before this was an issue. And because of the ankle break, she's 7 months pregnant. And I mean, gave it her absolute all.
McHugh, I just love the story that's going on here too, though. Look at this. Okay, she's getting hit, and Benji gets the kick, and that kicks him off.
And you remember, a lot of this was workshops.
I know.
With you and me and Wade. Wade came to us with a choreography, and we came up with the idea of the box, and we would just add layers to what was a pretty simple fight choreography. We weren't trying to be stunty and showy. We were just trying, and this dilemma of trying to choke the villain.
That's just McQuarrie. I love it. You came up with that.
But it all came. And do you remember what it came up from? Is that Sean Harris early on said, "I want to kill Benji."
Yes, exactly. He goes,
the only thing I want to do is kill Benji. And I go, you know what, Sean? You can't kill him, but that gives me an idea.
Yes.
And I knew I was going to have Sean some way or another choking Simon. And that's all I had going into that room. And I said to Wade, find a way for him to choke him. And Wade came up with the hanging
Fantastic.
Gas. And it was one layer after another, all because Sean was Sean was so funny. He goes, "I'm the funny one. He's not funny. Yes, I'm funny."
I could be funny.
I could be funny.
I could be funny. Wade did a great job. Wade Eastwood, thank you, my friend. Thank you so much.
Now, all of this chaos, all of this mayhem, where it's just one thing on top of another, is the simple problem of how do I get these two guys together in the same place after they've been in a helicopter? And you said, this was great. You said, you know what? 5 days before we went to shoot Pulpit Rock, you said, think, what if we messed up Walker's face? Like, what if he was more of a monster? And I said, well, we can't cut him because it'll be blood and there's a rating issue.
And you came up with this.
So what if we burn him? And then we found out where the oil tanks were in the helicopter. And Sarah Manzani and her team, they built this prosthetic for Henry 5 days before he was on camera. Incredible.
To get him to a point where he is a monster by the end of the movie. And Henry, to his credit, was like, yes.
Yes.
He loved it.
Yes.
He was no hesitation. He was like,
No.
absolutely.
He was like, let's do it. Okay. And we were throwing things like, hey, today your face is going to be hamburger. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I get it. That'll be cool.
I get it. That'll be cool.
That'll be fun to do.
Cool.
And
I love
this was,
moment.
yeah, so wonderful. The two of them.
Lovely.
Yeah. Just two great actors.
I know.
So great to work with.
I know.
Such a fun time. And
Benji, where are you?
this
Tell us what to do.
was 15 minutes before wrap on the last day. 15 minutes to midnight.
That was it.
And I put 3 cameras. I put a camera between their feet, and I put a camera pointed at each of them. And all the energy you're feeling in this scene is the actors knowing that if we go 1 minute over, it'll cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars that we don't have in the budget. We can't go one more day. We pushed it to the absolute limit.
And the crew was amazing by,
Yes.
working so hard to get it. I got to tell you, incredible.
So hard.
I love this shot that you have. This is at Pulpit Rock. We're now in Norway.
Now we're in Norway.
Pulpit Rock.
And what I asked for, and it was the only time I asked for a location after the fact. Everything I scouted the movie. I said,
shot.
Henry's so wonderful in it. And how we managed to kind of hold that as a reveal, even though his face is burned much sooner. Everything was sort of designed around coming to that moment. But here at Pulpit Rock, I said to Ben Pills, our location coordinator, I need something they can fall off of, not down. And New Zealand didn't have a straight drop. They had a lot of sloping drops. And he brought me a picture of Pulpit Rock, and I said, this is something you can fall off of. And it's a real testament to Jake Myers, the rest of our production team, that they were able to absorb the enormous physical difficulties of shooting a movie on top of this location. Everything had to be brought out by helicopter. A whole camp had to be built up there. It's a very, very, very challenging shoot.
Very challenging. And we got lucky with the weather. Because my broken ankle, I still have a broken ankle here.
Oh, this was your first day back.
Yeah, this
after
is
breaking your ankle.
All the climbing, everything. My ankle's broken in here. I'm wearing a brace. If you can see, my right foot is much bigger because I'm wearing a little brace.
I can't tell.
I know. And all that right ankle's broken. And
you remember when you went over the cliff, I said, he's holding your ankle, and you looked at me and you went, my left ankle, right?
Yes, right. That's right. Yes. My left ankle, right?
yes, your left ankle. You'll be okay.
Oh.
But
I couldn't pivot on it. And do you remember the weather? Because we were supposed to shoot this in September. And now we're in November.
No, in November. And you had
this is like 8 weeks after I broke the ankle.
And we had 6 weeks after.
Yes, 6
and we had 3 days on Pulpit Rock. 3. And we lost a day and a half to weather. So everything that you're seeing that we shot actually on Pulpit Rock, we shot in a day and a half.
It's incredible.
And then
day and a half.
Other pieces we shot little tight, all the tighter stuff. We shot at Leavesden. Again, great visual effects work, great production design.
This is a moment we came up with
later.
Look at that.
Smudge.
I like the Walker smudge.
And do you remember that look to the left? That's Pulpit Rock.
Yes.
But the other shot, now look at this. This is real. And remember, Tom's right ankle is broken. Pivoting on his ankle is extraordinarily painful. That is your first day back on the job after breaking your ankle. Look at it. Oh, that's painful.
But look at that. So beautiful. Gosh.
And Lauren's score there is really wonderful.
Fantastic. Look at
you remember, we were coming towards the end, and Lauren had scored all of this. And you said, I'm missing the theme. And we went back in and just tweaked so that the mission theme was starting to repeat through it. We got so focused on the drama. You're like, don't forget, mission. And here's where we found it. We found these little places for it. All the score was done, and Lauren was able to just surgically drop the moments in.
All those shots are in the 10 minutes. I just want to say,
yeah.
I remind you guys who are listening, this is all in the last 10
clock
minutes.
is literally
the clock is literally ticking.
And,
Okay.
and they were yelling at me. They were like, "Stop interrupting!" And I was like, "Say the line right." Just the clock is ticking. Oh my God, there was so much stress, and you could
Look
feel
at them.
it.
You could see
Rebecca's
it.
so mad at me. Rebecca is so mad at me.
Can we make a decision on this?
Can we make a decision on this?
Yeah.
They're so good.
And this
Okay.
moment of what do we do?
McHugh, elegant.
Thank you.
Elegant. This is in
Necessity.
the script, but it's elegant.
But it's
You
necessity.
don't need to see me take the thing. It's cut to the white.
Yeah. Well, there was no dramatic way to do it. There wasn't a cliffhanger way of you pulling that out with your teeth. Now, here's where we got lucky. We knew all of this in the script. One of the few things we did know in the script was that you were looking at the sun.
Yes.
But in Pulpit Rock, it was cloudy, foggy, hazy. It was there was no sun. We didn't even know where the sun would be when we got to this moment. And on the day, and by the way, your note, this was originally cut different. And you were like, no, cut from Ving. This was one of your great suggestions. It was cutting from My Man. Originally, it was My Man to Screw You Lane. And we rearranged it so that it went from here to here. And it bonded the two of them together. That cut is about their friendship. And here, what's amazing is the shot coming up. The clouds parted as we were lining up the shot. And that's real.
it. We were so lucky.
We were so lucky.
How lucky were we?
Oh my God. I'd rather be lucky than good.
That's exactly it. Oh, now this shot.
Again, all these things, it started raining right after we got that. And
No,
when
we got that shot and it started snowing.
when we got in the helicopter to leave,
It
started snowing.
It started snowing, and that was it.
That was it.
It was snowed in for the rest of the season.
We had to leave equipment up there.
Yes.
For the whole winter.
For the whole winter.
Yeah. And some of our crew had to hike down in the snow. Thank you to our crew who did that.
Yes. I wish I could have done it. Broken ankle.
And this was
Okay.
this was
Michelle
the fourth,
Monaghan
the
again.
fourth
Thanks.
scene. This was the thing that, like, in terms of what, the very earliest days, we knew this is where the movie was going to end, or at least this relationship was going to be resolved. And so when you have something this specific, the whole movie has to build up and work to it. And then you remember we shot this and we shot the wedding at the beginning of the movie on the same day.
That's right.
And this scene had to be finished for us to get on helicopters
That's right.
and fly a skeleton crew
To the
Milford
to film
Sound.
the opening.
Yes, to film the opening.
And in between, I was training, and I was falling off the bag in between this.
That's
when you
right.
guys were shooting those other things, I was off, and you were running from both things.
And you literally are beat to hell in that bag.
Yes, I am.
You've been hitting the bag.
That was already me going.
Oh, yeah.
Now look at Michelle. It's like,
She's so
oh
wonderful.
my gosh.
She's wonderful in the scene. And the thing that was really funny is if you will go all the way back to Mission 3, where Ethan and Julia are having the party at the beginning of the movie and talking about where they met, or Julia's talking with her friends about where they met, and you're reading her lips in the other room. They met in Lake Wanaka. And to fly out to the Milford Sound location, we actually took off from Lake Wanaka.
Wanaka. That's right. That
yeah.
was amazing. That was a moment. We
But
took
not-
off from
yes.
Lake Wanaka. Do you remember?
Yes, when I saw the Lake Wanaka sign, I was like,
fantastic.
hey,
It's like,
we're
oh my
there.
gosh.
Yeah, she's so good in
Look
that
at that.
scene. And we couldn't bring Michelle back. You remember, she had her commitment to her show, The Path, and there was no way to bring her back. And you'll see that some of these shots are just slightly a little soft, and there's an opportunity there to reshoot. We didn't have it, and there was an opportunity to use shots that were more in focus. But the truth of the matter was, the performance was so much stronger and overpowered that. And so
No one.
Who
Look at
cares?
this.
Who cares?
Also, you'll see intercut in this scene, after this scene with Michelle, and Rebecca ad-libbed this moment coming up.
Mm-hmm.
That was really quite beautiful.
And these flash forwards, and this lovely moment. These three actors
I know,
really understand the kind of film they're making, the kind of story they're telling. There's such a warmth.
And look at that frame with Ving,
Oh,
Rebecca, and Simon, and like every time, and there's Michelle.
and that's
Now look
all
at
real.
that.
That's all shot in New Zealand.
Yep, that's in New Zealand. I love what Rebecca does here.
But it's interesting. Oh, this is great. And it was an improv moment. I'm watching it on the monitor and I saw her do this. What is she doing? And it was so lovely. It was such a nice moment of a connection. It was such a great instinct between those two actors.
Now these shots, we thought it was a whole scene, and we thought potentially it was going to be the end of the movie.
Well, you said to me, the movie can't end with Ethan Hunt lying in bed.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not like, it's an action movie.
I know. And we want to feel like, where
are all these characters?
Yes.
You were like, what's it? He goes, you were like, there's all this unresolved stuff. And I was like, you're right. You're absolutely right. And we wrote the coda.
We shot it.
Didn't include it.
Didn't work.
And the movie, you felt clearly that the movie wanted to end
here.
And when you saw it, you went, oh yeah, I totally said. He goes, that's the end of the movie. But then the audience was asking, where are the other people? We had this dilemma of, what are we going to do?
We were there in the editing room.
Oh, I was lying in bed.
No, we were in the editing room. We left. We were like, what are we going to do? And then the next morning,
I came to, because I suddenly realized, well, what of the scene do I need?
Yep.
I just need her dialogue, and I need to see the widow, and I need to see Lane.
And I came in that afternoon, and you were like, you didn't say, I'm not going to tell you. I'm just going to show it to you. And this is what he did with all of that. It's just fantastic. Those great McQuarrie gifts.
And then watch this. This last shot of Tom was originally a profile. And Eddie Hamilton, I said, get me a close-up instead. He goes, well, I have one, but it's not long enough because it rolls out. And boop. That's the camera rolling out, that flash.
Yes, that flash.
And it's typical of Mission Impossible. You delivered the last line of the movie as the camera rolled out. Congratulations, my friend.
Oh, look at this.
Well
look
done.
At this cast.
Our friends again at Filmograph and the curtain call.
And the curtain call.
Which you and I talk about on every movie. We love curtain calls.
Yes.
And we tried to do one on Valkyrie.
I know.
And it was the wrong kind of movie.
It was the wrong kind of movie. But, I just love having it. It's just to be able to celebrate these actors, and as an audience to be able to just give me the highlights again that I could relive. Yes. And it's so much fun. And the Mission Impossible theme and the feeling one gets, the punch you get out of, and again, being able to go back to moments like this, is really fun. And it takes you out of the movie with the same feeling that brings you in. I got to tell you, it's number 9 with us, McHugh. It's such an honor to work with you. I just think I love your sense of story, your taste. You're so elegant as a filmmaker, as a storyteller. I have so much fun working with you. It's constantly like to be able to like hit that ball back and forth. I have such respect for you. You're my dear friend, and I just greatly admire you, and I feel very privileged to work with you. I think I look at this movie and, it's all the years of love of story and character and, just filmmaking, because you got to be very passionate about filmmaking to make this. You never get lazy. You never rest on your laurels. Every day we're swinging, and I just greatly appreciate it. I really thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. And I mean that most sincerely, going all the way back to first movie we worked on, which was Valkyrie, coming at it with a very different sense and a very different sensibility. And anybody who wants to look at the 4 films I've made to date can see an evolution, and that evolution is owed very much to both all of the wisdom that you've brought from all of the films you've made and all the filmmakers you've worked with. You come with an enormous wisdom, but you don't come with a set of rules of how to make a movie. You come very much in the spirit of a mentor saying, this is something that will serve you. Do what you want to do. And so you create, on the one hand, a very challenging environment. You're always pushing people beyond what they think their boundaries are, but you also have a safety net for them. And you're there going, you're going to be okay. We're going to get through this. It's going to be all right.
We're going to live.
Come with me if you want to live. And you can see, I would not be the filmmaker that made this movie had I not been making movies with you since Valkyrie. And you can see a clear delineation between the first film I made and the 3 subsequent films I made with you. And so all of those things that you're saying, which are on the one hand very kind, they're also greatly influenced by my collaboration with you. So I thank you.
Well, I'm very honored by what you said. And it's really just from the moment I met you, you know, and Valkyries and typewriters are going.
Just typewriters.
This guy, God, he just knows so much about filmmaking, and you honor filmmaking and storytelling. And it's, as I said, it's a great privilege.
Oh, well, thank you. You've said something before. You said it when we were promoting this movie, is where you said, in that one clip where you said, I'm addicted to making movies.
Yes.
And that really is what it is. It's like,
We share that. We
can't really help it.
No, we can't. We just start on a story and you just can't let go. And you know, and of course, we really thank the whole crew, guys. Ladies,
everybody
gentlemen.
here. This is a film that belongs to each and every one of the people that you're seeing here, going all the way back to our amazing sound department, Jadis Mather, and all of his mixers, the stunt team, the art department, the costume department, Jake, Jake,
guys,
all of you guys, thank you.
Brock,
Tommy Gormley, director,
thank you so much.
It really is a team effort, and this movie, more than any other movie I've worked on, either one that I've directed or worked on with other people, this was the most difficult, the most challenging,
so ambitious,
the most challenged,
yes,
and so many things being thrown at the movie, and every single
broken
one of the
bones,
people. Oh my God,
pregnancies, weather, and very
2 winters,
2 winters. We had 3. We lived through 3 winters.
Yes, you're right.
And it was 3 winters and a very because of New Zealand.
Yeah,
and just the cast, guys, brilliant actors. A privilege every day to work with you all. I know, McHugh and I, just every moment, just thank you.
Grateful to have every single one of you. And by the way, Eddie Hamilton, our amazing editor. Eddie and I, you'll find it on this disc. Eddie and I did a separate commentary, which you should listen to Eddie, who was absolutely wonderful, and also Lauren Balfe, our composer.
Lauren
also has a commentary on this disc.
Incredible, guys! It was like A+ across the board, guys. Can't wait for the next one.
Oh God! Stop.
Enjoy the credits.
You remember a minute ago when you said I never rest on my laurels? Yeah. I want to.
Yes.
And you call me right now. You start talking. and then I'm in a helicopter. And it's on a mountain.
Yes, and now we're working on Top Gun now.
I guess the secret's out now. Or it will be out by the time
right now. McHugh's we're now working on our next one.
Joe Kosinski,
the
brilliant Joe Kosinski, and
Jerry
Bruckheimer, Aaron Kruger. We're all tinkering on the script upstairs.
I can't wait. Our next one, and we'll be talking about Mission and many other stories.
Oh God,
many other things.
You bastard! You bastard!
The adventure never ends.
Oh no,
there's like that moment.
And you take such delight, you son of a bitch. You take such delight because Tom knows that I would literally never make a movie again if he did not create the pressure cooker that makes me go, oh, all right. Every time you're pitching me, I don't want to hear this.
At the premiere in Paris, we always sit next to each other at the premiere. So at the premiere in Paris, it's you, me, and Heather is next to you.
And right here, as the credits come on, what did you say to me?
We could do better.
You went, yeah, we could do better. It wasn't. You're like, yeah, like whatever.
Yeah, we could do better.
And cut.